The full moon bites your senses, the darkness knows your name. It whispers lies into the wind to convince them you're insane. Your friends ask friends, where you been? Yet it seems no one knows. The color black paints your lips and dominates all your clothes. Your walls adorned with Ouija boards, your bookcase may catch fire. From magic books and murder crooks, this fascination never tires. 'Cause somewhere not so long ago you woke and found the weird. Conspiracies and aliens, ancient demons, cults of fear. It's all more real than so-called news, it's everywhere you go. Thank God that John and Stacey welcomed you into the show. Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow with your hosts, authors of Till Death and Beyond, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And my, oh my, what a long, strange trip it's been. What do you think?
Yes, I agree.
It has been a humdinger of a road back to where we currently are.
Yes.
And hello, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to see you.
Mm-hmm.
Hope you missed us. We missed you. And wow, oh wow. So a lot to go over, a lot to unpack here, Stacey, don't you think?
There is. Tons.
All right. So this is the longest break we've taken since, well, forever, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a very, very, very long time since we've taken a break this long. And, you know, my apologies, first and foremost. We've been trying to get some things straight, trying to get some things, you know, in order, if you will, if you will. But in the meantime, it started with a kiss. It started off with this strangeness of Stacey getting a really bad, I don't want to call it a toothache.
It was a tooth infection, I guess you could say.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
Since it freaking leaked. But yeah, it's, she's like, oh, it's okay. But yeah, it was nasty. And not nasty in the, ooh, it grossed me out kind of way. Nasty in a, I don't want to have to deal with that kind of way.
No, the whole side of my head swelled up.
Yeah.
Really big.
Yeah.
And I slept for like 24 hours straight almost.
Well, not that is so far bizarre, but the very fact that her face swelled up like she'd been dating Ike Turner too long, it was pretty rough. Mm-hmm. Felt really bad for her. And during that was a little bit of a delay. Mm-hmm. And then we had been saving up for a while. We'd been looking for different things. We had been, you know, having our eye on some stuff for the show, which we've talked about on the show. And we were like, you know, what better time than now just to go ahead and do it.
Right.
So what we did, I wish I could say we used our wonderful stimulus, but it would have taken a little bit more than that. Mm-hmm. This was an investment.
Yes, it was.
So we don't have it all yet, but we didn't want you to wait anymore. So we are using our nifty microphones that we got.
We are.
I just want to call it all the Joe Rogan stuff because Joe Rogan was my inspiration as far as, you know, really as far as podcasts go. Mm-hmm. That's the banana for me.
Right.
That is the top of the food chain there. It's the best. Mm-hmm. Yes, I really like bananas. So, because you could survive on bananas.
I mean, yeah, I suppose you could.
I mean, you can.
Pretty nutritious.
You can. You could survive on bananas. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's a really cool food. Like, what kind of food are you going to take? What's a superfood as well? Mm-hmm. Is bananas not a superfood?
I have no idea.
Well, it is now.
Okay. Well, let's just say it is.
Just don't look it up.
Then it is.
All right. So I'm going to give like the little thing here. There's going to be a good chance that this doesn't sound, it might sound worse than anything you've ever heard. You might say, hey, take back that microphone. That's not it at all. Look, we got a new board. We've got a computer that's still being built, and it's going to be the dedicated computer for the studio. Instead of doing anything else with, we're going to have two dedicated computers, which is pretty nifty. One of them's going to be more for, you know, looking stuff up or whatever. Plus she's got her little iPad thing that's for the same reason. But
right.
We got a new Mac,
And let me just say, it's a Mac a Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got all the stuff on it and all the big gimmicks and the new chip and all this stuff. So it's going to be running everything for us because we're doing some videos and stuff, and we're going to be doing a lot of Patreon content and
some live stuff.
Yeah, live stuff. And the new board we have is got the capabilities to have call-ins, and they sound as good as, you know, someone does on a speaker. You know, it's like they're in the studio with you for the most part. And there's a lot of other big, incredible features that we're going to be able to unlock along the way.
There's a learning curve here.
A little bit of a learning curve.
Right.
So we wanted to be able to put something out there for you, regardless of what it was on.
Right.
So we're using an older computer, but it's, you know, we are using our new microphones. So, you know, we're doing what we can.
Yes, we are.
Trying to bring it to you.
Yes.
But with all that said and all those, you know, investments that we're doing, I've never thought of a better time than now to go to patreon.com/paranormal sideshow. So there's one level on there because we wanted it to be able for everyone to be able to get the Patreon content.
Right.
And not be outlandish in price, not be pretentious in price. Go out there, and how much is it, Stacey?
It's $2.99 a month.
That's right. It's the low price of $2.99 a month. And you can proudly say you are a sideshow off. You know, got a lot of cool stuff going on there, but here's the catch. And this is a good catch. This ain't one of those bad catches.
Right.
Where it's like, we're going to take your firstborn or something like that. That may happen, but that's for a whole different reason. No, we are going to be adding quite a ton of stuff. That's one of the reasons for dedicated everything, dedicated as always up. And that way we can come and do our live this, live that, extra this, extra that. You know, we've got a lot of stuff planned as is already. So we just want to make it really, you know, we got some incredible patrons that have been with us for a while. And, you know, I really want to make everything good for them too.
Yes.
You know, so I'm very excited with everything we got going on. I want to say a big shout out though. During all this, some people, you know, with their pledges, you know, that's the only thing I could say. They've been very big supporters of the show.
Yes.
Let's say that. People like Sean Foster.
Yes.
Want to give a big shout out to Sean. Thank you so much for being a supporter and being like a 5-star sideshow off. Leroy Westridge, another one, just big time supporter and awesome friend of the show.
Yes.
Of course, Jeffrey Carter.
Of course.
The big Jazz F. He has become more than a supporter.
Yes.
Jeffrey is on the street team. He is actually one of the contributors, one of the editors of the Facebook page now. So give Jeff some love over there. He's manning the guns.
That's right.
He was sending us some stories. He was one of those people from around the world that send us stories. And Jeff was sending me a lot of stories. And I was like, you know what? Why don't you just post those over there on the Facebook?
Cut out the middleman here.
Yeah.
Just straight to the
And he's
Facebook.
like, are you sure? I know you guys don't like to post, you know, things you're going to be covering. And it was like, absolutely. This was also at the first of, Stacey still was having the toothache when I talked to him about this. And I knew what was coming. I knew that she was going to have to get better. And then I knew that we were trying to get the stuff in. And the plan was we order everything and it comes in perfectly in 3 days.
Right.
So I didn't realize they were going to have to actually build our computer to that degree.
Right.
So it's on its way, as I said. But listen, we've got a lot of stuff. And thank you again, everybody. I would like to just go through and do the whole show and just thank every single one of the patrons. You're amazing, and we couldn't do it without you. If you've not jumped on that train yet, you know, we've got a ton of subscribers out there. Thank you to all the new listeners too. We had just amassed our highest listening totals ever. And then we decided to, you know, go AWOL for a month. So
well, thank you to all the people that reached out though and making sure we were okay and telling us we're missing the show.
Yes.
And, you know, all that. That really means a lot to us.
It does. And listen, it's safe. You can latch on. You can say, okay, this is my weekly show because I love the show. we're going to be there for you. Okay. We're going to make it up to you. We're going to try to put out enough stuff that we're making it up to you. But I really appreciate you guys, all of you. I appreciate you more if you go ahead and sign up to be a patron. No, I'm just playing. I really am playing on that. That really is a joke. It really is. But we are going to be putting up a lot of content.
Yes.
And we've really got it all mapped out. We had it mapped out already. And a lot of that stuff is now going to production. So, and there's a lot of things coming as far as, with the camera. That was another fun thing. We had to actually do a stop payment on our new DSLR that we had coming in to do some of the vlogging type things.
Yes.
Because we had a double reason. I'll just tell you the model on this. So we're ordering a P1000 Nikon. Or if you watch the British guys do the reviews, the Nikons.
The one that you can see the moon with.
Yeah, the one with the 125 times zoom.
Yes.
And you can sit, and you've seen the videos on YouTube with people showing, hey, we can watch the moon. Well, we were going to do a live, weekly deal where we have the patrons and we do a live gimmick where we're broadcasting the moon. And, watch it together for like 3 or 4 hours and look for things like the lunar wave, look for, UFOs or dinosaurs
or
whatever, bridges, that kind of stuff.
Or zoom in on somebody across town because apparently you can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. But, no, just it's just a weekly feature we're looking to do. We're still going to do it, but everybody is out of that camera. So we found this one place, and Stacey's so proud of herself. She's like, oh, hey, I got this one place, but there's something weird about it. And I was like, what's weird? She's like, well, they want you to call and verify your purchase. And to her credit, this set off a red flag. Because, she's like, everybody else just wants to take the money.
Yeah. I shop a lot online.
And they didn't, So, and we're not on here to, talk bad about anything. I mean, Abe's. Sorry, I guess I just took in my throat. Anyway, so it was not a verified place that sells the Nikon. So that was one thing, throughout this whole journey we learned. And there's other places they're going to notify us when the camera comes in. The problem is you can't step down from that model and get that same zoom.
Right.
You can get a great zoom, but not that zoom. And I really want that zoom.
Right.
So I may get the step down. You can still see the moon really well. We can still have a lot of fun with it, and we got to get the vlogging going. So
it would bother you though, just knowing that you could get that much closer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd be like, this is so wonderful, but I could get closer if I had the other camera.
The one that got away. Yeah. You're okay with what you got. I mean, it does the job, but that other one's just so much bigger. It's just one of those facts of life. But we always have video.
That's right.
We can always look it up and watch it while we're playing with our other camera.
Right.
So anyway, did y'all miss us? Did you miss us?
Yeah.
You missed us. Innuendo, that's how he know. One other thing we have coming with all this new gimmick is a brand new from scratch website. So paranormalsideshow.com or paranormalsideshow.com is going to be cooler than ever.
Yes.
And very excited about that because Stacey and her news is going to be worldwide and on fire because she is going to be putting the stories up on the website. So when we share stories, and we'll be sharing them like crazy, it's going to be written by Stacey, put out there, same stories we're getting, but we're going to write them ourselves and research them ourselves. And we actually come up with a lot of our own stories just from stuff we're always looking at and listening to and hearing and all that good stuff. So knowing Stacey, she's going to be calling Irish schools and, museums that have corpses looking out at people and all kinds of stuff like that and doing her own stories. And it gives us a chance. He gives me a chance to write a blog and all this good stuff. But yeah, the wonderful, mysterious, and lovely Mistress Raja has been working on that. And Stacey's going to take over there with the bones on that one. And just about there. We're close. We're a lot closer on having everything done with the podcast than we are the website. But it's all you're sniffing around 1 month until everything is done, I would say.
Right. Well, the old website's still there until I'm ready to switch it over to the new stuff.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely. So in the downtime, we've been, adding to our paranormal equipment and upping. Every couple of years, you have to kind of up your equipment to stay relevant.
Right.
You don't want to be the kid that shows up at the investigation with the last year's model, but it's just that way. But no, we wanted to get some stuff. We're actually not like that. I'll still use the SB7 until the end of time, just because it works for me.
I was pricing mini cassette recorders today.
Oh yeah, she likes the retro, and so do I. We actually were looking at in the antique store. We were looking at this old school box. Oh my God. Just perfect to put old school equipment in.
Oh, it was really cool.
Like the reel-to-reel, because we got to have the reel-to-reel. We've been looking at Polaroids, things like that. Some just real old school equipment, because honestly, it works better. I'm telling you, man, there's something about the old school, like magnetic tape.
Right.
There's just something about the old school tape recorders. I get more hardcore quality EVP, it seems like, through those than I get great ones on the digital. Yeah. But there's something about having that. I don't know. Maybe it's creepier.
There are articles out there, and you can read them, that kind of goes between the analog and the digital and which one's better. And I think the analog usually wins out, just for different reasons. It really depends on what you're looking for, with your EVP collection.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Everybody goes out here and buys these, like, it was like the Zooms and all this with the, 360 audio and 14 speakers and all this. Now, I had the first model the second it came out, okay, because I was Mr. Audio. So it was one of those things like, oh, you got to get this because it's brand new. And I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And the problem was, I'm in a room and I'm trying to talk to, the ghost of Jerry. And when I'm recording this, it's picking up the bar down the street. It's picking up. It's
the neighbor's dog fart.
Yeah,
it sounds like a demon on
the dog farts. I mean, it's really. It's awesome if you're into that. But I don't need to hear the ghost down the street.
No.
I need to hear Jerry. And all I need to hear Jerry is a mono microphone. That's all I need. And it's always worked better for me. It just has. And, I just like that. So, and it's hard to find those anymore. So I do have to go with the stereo because it's just hard to find a good one with just one recorder. But I'm not going all crazy on it. So one thing, this is not really paranormal equipment, but it's just Stacey. It's just a Stacey story. I should have a whole thing, like a whole section. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, Stacey stories.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Anyway, no. So Stacey had this scrying mirror. And it was like the pocket scrying mirror for the Sensible Witch. Take it with you.
Travel size.
Make sure you're not using it for your compact.
And it's like the polished obsidian kind of scrying.
Yeah. So she still has that, but now she has the new one that we got. And it's the City Block scrying disc.
It's not that big. It's about, what would you say, 8-10 inches?
Sure.
A circle?
Well, I would say 12 inches on that, but yeah.
You would, but it's not quite that big.
Yeah. So 10 inches, and it's big, and it's a lot cooler than the other one. Like, it's solid.
Right.
And it's scary.
And well, it's not the other one's built into a little wooden case, and this one's not. It just sits up on a stand where you can see in it all the time.
That gets me. The only reason I bring that up, other than Stacey just putting it out here in the room where I have to walk by it all the time, that just gets me to where I'm going here. So I mentioned the antique store.
Right.
I got to tell you another Stacey story.
Why is that my sound?
It's just.
Is it fitting? It fits.
It's just, I just see me looking at the hard cam in the room.
Right.
Like, as soon as it's like, well, here's what Stacey did to me.
You're breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, and then look at the camera with my sad face.
Okay, so what did I do to you this time?
So, we're in the antique store. Somehow I let this crazy woman talk me into going. Okay.
I love the antique store.
So, I'm fine. I'm doing good. We're walking through. We're looking for cool crap. Like weird crazy, obscure things to add, like poison bottles and I don't know, this kind of crap she looks for, like graveyard stuff.
I completely forgot about that glass bottle that said poison on it. Oh, we got to go back for that. Anyway, continue.
Anyway, so as we're going through there, we get through most of the first part of the antique store, and we'd found a few items that, some were creepy and some were cool and all this, and then something drew our attention at the same exact time.
I love when that happens.
And it was these African hand-carved wooden tribal masks.
Oh my goodness.
Now, these were not knockoffs. These were authentic, and they had a story with them, and they're really popular worldwide. In fact, 90% of African art is out of Africa, unfortunately. And, there's a lot of people trying to get it back there and all this stuff. But these had a story to them, but they had something else to them. They had something that instantly caused me to feel like I had an ice pick go between my eyes. And I got dizzy. I got clammy. I wanted to fall over. The whole time this is happening to me. And Stacey knows my tells. In fact, I'm telling her that I'm not going to touch them. And she's like, oh, okay. I really like these.
I did really like them.
I really, really like these.
Gosh, they were so cool.
These are so awesome. Is it a bad thing?
Are you going to tell me that they weren't awesome?
Is it a bad thing that's connected to them? And here I am, like, completely like...
You're basically doing everything but spitting pea soup.
I mean, it's really bad. I walk away, and she's staying over there at him, I can tell they're doing a wham bam on her. And they just were. Because she kept going back to it. We walked through the rest of the store, and the whole time, like every few minutes, it'd be like, those masks weren't really cool, though. I understand that, I wouldn't want it to be something that was a problem, but they really were neat.
I was like, we can keep them in a box.
Yeah. She's like coming up with all the ways. I was like, look, if we get those, there's going to be a movie about us, not starring us. Because it's going to be like one of those cautionary tales. But yeah, they're so haunted. They are so haunted.
They were so cool.
So
it's almost like they wanted us to buy them because they were on sale.
Yeah, they were. So let me tell you a little bit, some facts about these masks.
Okay.
So the craftsmen will make sacrifices for protection. Carving and decorating African tribal masks is a tradition that is often passed down from generation to generation of craftsmen. Many tribal masks are carved from wood. Chopping down a tree to make a mask can be a dangerous activity, and a chicken is often sacrificed to the tree before it's cut down. The craftsman must also appease to the god of iron. He makes an offering of cock blood and other materials at a shrine he keeps near his workplace. He then uses what I think is adze, we'll say adze, I guess a knife, to carve and shape the mask. African adzes are collectible in their own right. Masks often incorporate natural materials. Well, we just talked about a tree, right?
Right.
But no, it says this can include materials derived from animals such as cowrie shells, feathers, and ivory, as well as animal skins, bones, and horns.
Wow.
Sometimes it could be even more unusual, like porcupine quills. Plant materials like raffia and cotton appear in some masks. Masks are even sometimes made with human teeth and hair. Decorative materials like metal, beads, terracotta, and glazed pottery are often found as part of the mask. When coloring a mask, the craftsman uses natural dyes made from leaves, tree bark, clay, and seeds. Another part of it is Africa has a number of secret societies that have a lot of influence in the communities where they are prevalent. These are usually divided into ones for men and women. They often initiate their members during puberty with circumcision rituals and often teach their members proper social manners and sexual comportment. Other secret societies are mainly comprised of politicians and law enforcement officers, some play an important religious role in their community. African tribal masks play an important role in the life cycle rituals. These include circumcisions, weddings, funerals, and harvest season. African tribal masks do not represent real people, dead or alive, or even animals. When they take on the form of animals, moreover, when an individual wears an African mask, they no longer possess their own personality. Instead, a spirit occupies the mask. And whatever the wearer does or says is attributed to the spirit of the mask. These spirits are often dead ancestors or even the spirits of individuals not yet born. To me, that's like a way to put it on and have sex with your neighbor. And then like she's like, hey, call me crazy.
Right.
But I could have sworn I just seen that mask on you and you were knocking boots with Jane. And you're like, oh, honey, no, that wasn't me.
No, wasn't me.
That was the mask. You'd be like, well, that mask going to be sleeping outside.
Well, these masks were really cool. They didn't have any of the extra stuff on them. Like they were just the wooden ones, hand carved. But they were so cool looking.
Yeah.
Well,
it's really cool. And I just thought a few of those things there would be interesting to you about them, since you're never going to have them.
I know.
I
know.
I mean, for somebody who has all the protection stuff we have, I can't imagine. I mean, it literally tells you that a spirit inhabits the mask. I mean, that's on a good day.
Right.
These were not. Listen, if you put a mask on me and circumcise me when I'm 15, there's going to be something left in it. Okay, there's going to be a bit of spiritual residue.
Right.
Something's going to be. You don't cut my wee-wee. There's no way. No.
Speaking of cutting, are we going to talk about the little thing that you got the other day?
Oh, my God. Are you really going to do that?
Yes. I don't know if it's on your list over there. I don't want you to pass it up.
No, it's not on my list.
Oh. Well, I'll just tell it then.
Sure.
So on the same day that I got my new scrying mirror, John bought himself something as well. And it's this pair of knives, and they're very cool. They're hand carved. The sheaths are hand carved. They go together. It's a set. And there's like one good one and one evil looking one. And I don't really know how to describe it, but they're really awesome. And so we bought the set and we brought them home, and he was looking at them, and he went to pull the price tag off of one of them. Only one of them had like a price tag with a string on it. And he's like, oh, I need to pull this off. And he pulled it, and somehow, we don't even know how it happened, him pulling that tag off the knife like opened and cut him immediately.
Yeah.
Not a bad cut, but enough to get blood on the knife.
Yeah, the blood went on the knife, and swear to God, it looked like it soaked it.
Yes.
It looked like it went in, like I went to wipe the knife and the blood was gone.
But the circumstances were very strange. Like you weren't really in a position for it to do that.
No.
And you weren't like...
I'm super careful.
Yeah, like...
And I was being super careful.
And the way you were holding it was, you were holding it down on the sheath. And I don't even know how it happened. I don't know how it cut you.
I watched it. It jumped up and it cut my hand.
Right.
And it got a good little nick. And then the cut itself got a bit infected the next day. I took care of that. It's all fine now.
Right.
But it stung like hell for a whole day. And, just weird. I think it was, the wand picks the wizard, Harry.
They're really cool knives, though.
They are.
They're very cool.
They're ritual knives. And I keep them just in case.
Well, we're just going to put them on a stand and, put them with the rest of our stuff.
Just like cool. my Viking sword. It's like you can order the actual sharpened one or not.
Right.
Just take a guess at which one I get.
Right.
So, why if you're going to have it, you might as well be able to kill someone with it. That's my motto. That's what I teach the kids.
Yes. But our trip to the antique store was very successful. We did see a couple other things that were holding on to some energy.
Yeah.
Some creepy dolls and such.
I was going to mention the freaking doll.
The doll was so creepy.
With the eyes. Oh, my God.
It was one of those dolls, like when you looked at it, you just knew that at any second it was going to move or talk or look at you directly. It was so creepy.
It was.
It wasn't a bad energy, though. It was just really creepy.
Yeah. I'll tell you something that was a bad energy.
What's that?
It was a good energy. I'm just kidding. I was just a bad boy.
Oh.
A bad boy. So, I never quit wrestling, but my wrestling, my actual federation, my local that I've been in for freaking ever and a year and a day and a decade and a couple decades, all that stuff. Innovate Wrestling is back. And we had our big return. We sold out the Civic down there with as much as they would let us sell it out.
Right. There's a limit. We didn't go over that much, but we, had a great show. Of course, that's available on the High Spots Wrestling Network if anybody's interested, or you can go to innovatewrestling.com and
find out how to watch that, or even on Facebook the same way. Or you can go listen to another podcast. Got some really sexy dude, the Blind Tag Wrestling Podcast. It's on, this wonderful network.
Oh, you'll have to introduce me.
Oh yeah. I'll let you know. John Hawkins is a crazy cat.
I
But
see.
I figure I could put a little Blind Tag Wrestling Podcast out there. Just you never know
Just plug yourself.
when. I'm gonna plug myself here live on the air. But had a lot of fun with that. But I just wanted to talk about it real quick before I talk about some weird stuff.
Okay.
Because it's time for me to talk about some weird stuff.
More weird stuff.
All right, before getting into my main topic of weird, I like to get something a little bit funny, kind of give you that false sense of security that you're not going to get creeped out.
Right.
But no, I'm actually just going for weird this time, but on this, we've been talking a lot in the last few shows about, certain words and root words and all that. And it's been a topic around the house too. We've been really looking up stuff. And
right.
So I thought it was kind of a weird timing that here recently, the New York Post came out with an article about slang words.
Oh, huh.
And the hidden history of slang words. So there was, they gave a few examples, and I thought it would be fun to go through some of those because usually they're like, oh, really, So frenemies.
Right.
Long before the much analyzed relationship between Taylor Swift and Katy Perry became Page 6 news, a famous newspaper columnist was the first to use this now common term in print. In a 1953 column, Walter Winchell asked, "How's about calling the Russians our frenemies?" Despite the changed spelling, the sentiment is the same. And of course, originally he put Frenemies.
Oh, I see.
Frenemies.
Right.
Booty call. So booty call came from a song, a hip hop song.
Of course it did.
And let's see, it says 1993. I thought I knew about booty calls way before that. Oh, they used to call booty. So booty was slang for body.
Oh.
Back in the 40s. And there was a song in 1941 that actually said, "I've got to get myself some booty."
Well, so it didn't just mean the rear end area.
No.
It's the whole body.
Yeah. It's like, just a funny way of saying body. Like, ooh, look at that booty.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Let the booties hit the floor. So
that brings up a whole different picture.
It does.
Me.
Yes. Please keep that booty away. So wimp. I thought this was interesting.
Okay.
In her 1897 fairy tale collection, British children's book author Evelyn Sharp introduced a group of children who pulled pranks on others, but broke into tears when the same was done to them. That's normal. Mm-hmm. She called them the Wimps, which was spelled Wymps. Before long, Keyes told us this term, respelled wimps as we know it now, was applied to all manners of feckless individuals.
Ah, feckless. I like feckless better.
I do. What the feck? Gung Ho.
Mm-hmm.
So Gung Ho was my least favorite G.I. Joe, by the way.
But that was somebody's name?
Yeah. That was their code name. They all went by their code names.
Of course they did.
The Marine was Gung Ho.
Mm-hmm.
I hated Gung Ho. He was always like, "Well, you did pig swallow," just had his open vest on and hairy chest, and
right.
I hated that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I did some bad things to that toy. Every time Cobra was like attacking, Duke would be like, "Well, let's send Gung Ho out."
Was he the red shirt Star Trek guy?
In my world, I'd be like, "Yeah, we'll send you out. You're a Marine. You should be able to take it." Anyway. During World War II, Western observers in China heard a slogan used by Chinese worker-soldier teams, "Kung," meaning work, and "ho," together. A Marine Colonel, Evans Carlson, used the anglicized "gung ho" as the battle cry of the Marine Raiders. A 1943 Hollywood film, Gung Ho, about the real-life Mackinac Island raid in the Pacific, popularized the expression over here.
Oh.
So,
of course it was wrong. He stole it.
Always. That's the only way to do it. So, nylon.
Okay.
When DuPont first developed the new synthetic fiber, its chemical name was very long.
Right.
It's like there's like 30 some letters here, like polyhexamethylene dipatine Oh, yeah.
Ram-a-lam-a ding-dong?
Yeah, exactly. Which doesn't exactly roll off the tongue.
No, it doesn't.
Those on the decade-long project, which finished in 1938, used the working name Fiber 66. I'm surprised they just didn't call it that, like WD-40 ended up.
Right.
Know.
Just be Fiber 66.
Yeah, so the president of the company proposed Delaware for his firm's home state. Another wacky suggestion was Duperoo. God dang it.
Wow.
It could have been Duperoo. Look at those Duperoo stockings.
I want to wear my Fiber 66 stockings.
Yeah. The chair of a naming committee offered Norun. I would have fired that person. But, oh my God, No Run. One word.
Oh, yeah, because that's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the fabric did run.
Yeah, so.
Another name, New Run, brought more onto mine.
Right.
Wrote Keys. Nylon was closer, but could be pronounced in different ways. Finally, someone hit on nylon with the Nylon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was a long way around the block.
That really was, to end up with a name that doesn't really mean anything.
Saran wrap. The clear, clingy stuff Americans had been wrapping their leftovers and bodies in since the 1950s was given the name by Dow Chemical Company chemist Jack Riley.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly a family man, he named it for his wife Sarah and daughter Ann. Oh, Saran.
Oh, that's
How
cute.
that is.
So is all plastic cling wrap like that considered saran wrap? I thought saran was like the brand, like the company.
Nope.
Huh.
It's considered saran wrap.
Cool.
And we stole saran wrap.
Yes.
The Big Bang.
Mm-hmm.
Now this one is one of my favorites. I knew this already, and this is from the My Luck department.
Right.
Okay. So a British astrophysicist who came up with the name didn't believe in the now accepted theory of the birth of the universe.
Wow.
Fred Hoyle, hired by the BBC in post-war Britain to discuss cosmology, never imagined it would be taken seriously, become part of the lexicon, both scientific and lay, wrote Keyes. Sky and Telescope magazine conducted a contest in 1993 to come up with a better name, but it's hard to imagine a hit TV show about physics nerd Sheldon Cooper and his pals called the Hubble Bubble Theory.
Oh my God.
That was just one of the 13,000 rejected entries. The funny thing with Fred Hoyle, you know, he was like writing against it.
Right.
Calling it, the Big Bang, you know, when he was describing how it happened. And everybody's like, oh, hey, Big Bang.
Hey, that's a great name.
Yeah, that's
Let's use
it.
that.
That's it. It's pretty funny, man, especially if he was
pretty funny.
I can only imagine him being like a real religious guy.
Right.
Can you imagine going to that church from then on? They're like, oh, hey, Fred. I saw a special on your Big Bang last night. Yeah. I made the kids go to bed and say 40 Hail Marys. Appreciate that, buddy. Now, this is another one I know.
Okay.
Bluetooth. You know this one?
I don't know this one.
Really?
You know, I feel like I did know it at one point, but you'll have to remind me.
You know my useless information.
Yeah, I'm sure that we've talked about this at some point.
The wireless technology that we all take for granted was named for a 10th century Scandinavian king who united Denmark and Norway.
Right.
It was just a jokey placeholder, says Keyes, but the name stuck. That king was nicknamed Bluetooth for his tooth so decayed that it looked blue.
Wow. That's some serious decay.
Yeah.
That's like decay with mold.
Yeah.
It's going to look blue.
I mean, at least it wasn't called, rotten rod. I mean, that'd be weird walking around with that, wouldn't it? Tabloid.
Okay.
The type of newspaper that's more compact than its broadsheet rivals and more clever and fun with its headlines, got its name from a medicine in the 1880s. A British company came out with the medicine compressed into a tablet with the trademarked name tabloid. The smaller size compressed papers took on the description tabloid.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
That's kind of
more interesting headlines.
Yeah.
That's one way to say it.
Robot. We can thank an early 20th century Czech playwright and his artist brother for this one. In a sci-fi play, Karel Čapek wrote in 1920, work is done by manufactured beings. According to Keyes, Čapek complained to his brother, Joseph, that he couldn't think of a name for these creatures. Joseph said robot, off the Czech word robota, for involuntary worker. The play became RUR, and it was called Rosam's Universal Robots when it ran in London and New York. And from then on, it was robots.
Oh, that's cool. It's cool to make something up and then that become the go-to word for everything.
It's really strange because I see it happen a lot because of so many things I do are in creation.
Right.
So like in wrestling, okay, it's really strange to me when I just come up with a name, okay? Mm-hmm. And even names for guys, their character names.
Right.
And then that just becomes this big thing. It takes off and it's bigger than you could have ever dreamed. And it's happened to me in so many ways. Like there's been guys in the past that, made it to WWE.
Right.
I named their finisher, and then you hear it on a wrestling game.
Right.
That the kids are playing. This happened to me. Mm-hmm. And it's so weird because, then you tell people about it like 10 years later.
Right.
And they're like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, sure, man.
They've been using that forever.
Yeah, whatever, dude. Yeah, have another one. So next is guy.
Oh, okay.
All right. Originally intended as an insult. Guy. The term guy comes from Guy Fawkes.
Oh.
Who was convicted and sentenced to death for his part in a plot to blow up Britain's House of Lords. Back then, Keyes wrote, such miscreants became known as guys. Later in the colonies, however, guy became synonymous with chap, bloke, or fellow. Don't call me fellow, fella. Call me bloke. I'm doing chap. Among Americans, a regular guy was an admirable person. Mm-hmm. Instead of what it was over here. I can hear it now. Hey, Stacey. Mm-hmm. Look at all those guys out there on the causing this damn miscreants. Guys, dudes, pals. That's crazy. It really is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's funny because people don't use the word guys down south a lot because down south it's y'all. But when I lived in Virginia Beach, people would say you guys all the time.
Actually, the people I was friends with from Pennsylvania would always say yous guys.
Yous guys. Yeah, see, that's another one.
Yeah,
well, we didn't get the S on the U, but living further up north, it was always you guys.
It's like, yous guys going to go,
Yeah.
But yeah, man, you're right. They do say.
You don't hear that down south as much.
You hear it some. But yeah, I got you. It makes me wonder. The old deal like guys and dolls.
Right.
I wonder, because dolls isn't the nicest term for girls.
This is true.
I wonder if dolls had another meaning.
Probably.
Like miscreant girls. You know what I'm saying?
Or just promiscuous, maybe.
Well, yeah. Or, they're out there like dossing themselves up, right? So it's like guys and dolls.
Right.
It might just be a little bit worse than what I thought. I thought very innocent of that. Knickerbockers. Knickerbockers. Wonderful word, knickerbocker.
Mm-hmm. Seems excessive. It seems like an excessive word. Like it could be shorter.
But it's a woody word.
It is.
Knickerbocker. The name of the local basketball team that plays at Madison Square Garden has a link to the Post. The October 26, 1809 issue of the New York Evening Post had a notice with the headline, Distressing. It told the tale of a small elderly gentleman named Diedrich Knickerbocker. Mm-hmm. Diedrich Knickerbocker, who disappeared from a Mulberry Street hotel, leaving his possessions and unpaid bill behind. That included a manuscript on the history of New York, which went to be published. It all turned out to be a hoax by Washington Irving. Oh, my God.
Wow.
Who wrote the farcical history book. Since the rambunctious tone affected by Diedrich Knickerbocker so successfully captured the voice of a certain type of New Yorker, Keyes wrote, these lively citizens came to be known as Knickerbockers.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So that's where you get the New York Knicks. I always wondered.
Well, I mean, I knew they were Knickerbocker. I mean, I knew they were the Knickerbockers.
Right.
But that's really cool.
Yeah, that's a cool story, backstory.
Yeah, it really is. And that's all I got for now on the weird words and
weird slangy words and where they came from.
It's the more you know.
That's right.
So, speaking of knowing, I want you to know is all kinds of stuff. You got that guy? Because we're going to get some weird crap now. This is some stuff. I've had a lot of time to research.
Right.
And I'm going to give you a little bit of the research.
Okay.
So one thing I wanted to talk about, like I said, I've been doing a lot of research here recently, and it's went down a few different paths. But, in making some of my lists, sometimes you really come across some cool stuff. And I'm always doing research on different things and like, oh, yeah, I'm going to use that for a book or whatever. But I wanted to focus my attention on some mysteries of the Middle Ages.
Ooh, that sounds fascinating.
I think that we don't give the people of the Middle Ages enough credit, personally, because we always, like, for some reason, point to them as, oh, well, they were dumb as a box of rocks. Yeah, I mean, you just picture the middle-aged person, the medieval peasant or whatever, like the one big eye, hump on their back, drool coming out of their mouth,
Right.
to bring out your dead covered in shit kind of thing, right?
Right.
Not necessarily the case, because how is it like that? And then you go back just 1,000 years before that, we're still reading the workings of some Greek philosophers, right? It's just like, oh well, Plato really knew his shit. I don't know. It's hard for me to go one way, be like, oh man, we were really ahead of our times here. Look how smart the Egyptians were and all this stuff, and then.
Right.
Unless they're just saying people in the UK are just idiots, and that's not the case. So,
no.
And it's all over the world with the medieval times. And I just think sometimes it's just because, we were writing down some weird crap that really happened.
That could be it.
I think stuff got a little weird from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I want to talk about some of the mysteries, such as why did the Norse disappear from Greenland? Although the Norse had settled in Greenland for over 400 years, their colony was at most only a few thousand people. By the later Middle Ages, the colony was in decline, but it seemed the last visitor to Greenland came in 1420. What happened to its remaining residents? Did they get killed off in a plague or by attacks from the Inuit? Or did they just leave the island and return back to Europe? It's actually a huge mystery to this day.
Wow.
So not a whole lot of, notes laying around going, oh, here's what we did.
Right, right.
Be back soon.
I don't think they were the type to just, keep records.
No,
all their exploits and stuff.
Not really. I mean, we're still finding out. I think we're finding more out about Vikings now in like the past 10 years than we've ever known.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting so much history at once. And I think a lot of that has to do with LiDAR, technologies like that. We're really, it's banging, man. I mean, the last 5 years.
Right.
Yeah, and Stacey knows how deep into archaeology I get.
Mm-hmm.
So every day, folks, every day I'm researching archaeology and all the latest finds. And there's some crazy ones out there.
There are.
I mean, ones that just blow your mind. Stuff even recent. I'm always just like, honey, check this out.
Oh, I think recently, isn't it, where a lot of the ice is melting?
Yes.
Now they're finding a lot of Viking things.
Yeah, that really is the one for the Vikings and one of the main reasons.
Which is awesome because it's all preserved.
Yeah.
From being in the ice.
Absolutely. So, of course, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the dancing plague.
Right.
And I hate mass hysteria stuff because I just don't buy it.
Right.
Okay, I just don't. In July 1518, a plague broke out in the town of Strasbourg. First, one woman began to dance uncontrollably in the street. Others soon joined her. We talked about this recently. And eventually, over 400 people were afflicted.
Right.
Over 400, dude. 400.
Mm-hmm.
That's just nuts. With some of them dying from heart attacks or exhaustion.
That's crazy.
The authorities tried to cure them by allowing them to keep dancing. They even paid for musicians to perform for them. What caused this dancing mania, which broke out on a few other occasions in Europe? A few other occasions.
Yeah, like they're so blasé about that. A couple other times it happened.
Between the 14th and the 17th century.
Right.
So it wasn't just in a 10-year span.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so in the 1300s, man, the 1600s, you had this happening. It's just.
I wonder if anybody's ever documented it. It's like every 147 years or something silly like that.
I don't know. I mean, it's just really crazy to me. I know we still get some of these out of touch places, and I think that evil preyed on things a little bit more. Okay, and it really had to do with maybe the record keeping we had for like ancient Greece and ancient Rome. That was all concentrated areas.
Right.
So. It's harder for a demon or something to come and screw with those people. That doesn't mean in some dark part of Europe that it wasn't still happening even then. And so you get to the Middle Ages and people maybe are writing a little bit more, or it's kept, or we still got the records, or whatever. And these little towns though that are cut off, they're like a day's journey to another town, 2 days journey.
Right.
So it's easier to really affect the whole town.
Oh, yeah. Now, are they claiming that that was mass hysteria?
Yes, that's always been the claim.
That's crazy. I mean, I can understand how there could be mass hysteria while people were scared of the same thing, but to physically be dancing, I can't imagine. I mean, I know your brain's a powerful thing, but I can't imagine people believing so hard that they would have to dance that they would till they died. That just doesn't make any sense.
Not that many people.
Yeah.
Not till you die. I just don't see it. Not till you die.
You would think that self-preservation would kick in at some point.
I mean, if I saw you doing that, I mean, I would knock you out if I had to.
Right.
I mean, it would just be one of those things,
Right.
It's just ridiculous. And especially at the time.
I just imagine they're just standing there and they're like, how do we stop them from dancing? Well, just let them do it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I thought that was the dumbest thing ever.
I mean, it's like you said. Why couldn't you just knock them over the head?
Yeah.
Clearly, they would stop if
they hired musicians.
Unconscious.
They had time to hire musicians.
They set up buffet tables and.
So I think that somebody needs to look at the damn musicians that just happen to be in town. It's like, hey, does any of you guys happen to be musicians?
We charge by the hour.
Yeah, all payments up front, please.
So what are you guys called?
The Coven.
It's just a playful name. It's just playful.
2 English chroniclers reported a story from 12th century that the villagers of Woolpit discovered 2 children, a brother and sister, who had green skin and spoke an unknown language. Eventually, their skin color returned to normal, but the boy died shortly after being baptized. The girl grew into adulthood and learned to speak English. She explained they were from St. Martin's Land, where everything was green, and they had been tending their father's cattle when they followed the animals into a cave. Emerging out of it, they found themselves in Woolpit. Many experts have tried to figure out if the story was some kind of folktale or was based at least in part on a true story. Now, I can't imagine that being a folktale.
No.
And here's why. There's not a lesson.
Yeah, folktales there would be a reason for it.
There's not a lesson. I mean, unless the lesson's like don't chase the animals in a cave. I mean,
yeah, or your little brother will die.
It's just it doesn't make sense.
No,
that one seems like it's something that happened, and it's probably Hollow Earth.
Well, and they did come up with this explanation that there was some kind of land nearby that had a similar name, and they were kids, so maybe she got it wrong, and there was some disease going on. I mean, they had explanations for like every little bit of that story, except I don't think how they managed to get there.
They usually do, don't they?
Very strange.
The 2 brothers, Edward V, King of England, and Richard of Shrewsbury, Duke of York, were only 12 and 9 years old when in 1483, Richard III seized the English throne. The boys were kept in the Tower of London, but by the summer of that year, they had completely disappeared. Were they murdered? And if so, by who? In 1674, some workmen at the Tower of London dug up a wooden box containing 2 small human skeletons. These bones now reside in Westminster Abbey, and many believe to belong to the 2 brothers.
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, if there was ever some sort of revolt or something, they would have a claim to the throne.
It's terrible.
They were a threat.
Yeah. It's
and that guy just said that he was keeping them in the Tower of London so he didn't look like he killed kids.
Absolutely.
Royal kids.
Just bad stuff, man.
Oh, awful.
The illustrated manuscript that comes from the 15th century, of course, the Voynich manuscript.
Oh, yes, of course.
Written in an unknown language. Ever since its discovery in 1912, scholars have been puzzled over its words and its strange images of plants and astronomical signs. In recent years, some scholars believe it's partly deciphered some of the text, figuring out a handful of words at least. I don't know if we'll ever get that thing figured out.
No, probably not.
Dozens of accounts from the 13th century offer a story of children attempting to go on a crusade to reach Jerusalem. While the versions are often very different, they have a young boy from France or Germany preaching and leading up to 30,000 people on a march south to Italy. It was then said the merchant ship owners promised to take them to the Holy Land, but instead either sold the children as slaves in Muslim lands or sank at sea. Historians have been very skeptical of these accounts, but some believe they might be poor men and women who were going on pilgrimages.
That's horrible.
It is, yeah. There's actually several accounts of people that go missing.
Mm-hmm.
And, anytime you're listing mysteries of the Middle Ages, it's always like, well, this guy, started a rebellion and actually, he just went missing. And I'm like, really?
We have no idea.
Yeah.
What happened.
I mean, I could tell you a whole big heaping helping of skeletons, that you're going to find on that. But I'm more interested in a couple of ones that's really cool. Like, what was the secret of Greek fire? And Greek fire is one of the ones that always gets me toasty. I love it.
Okay.
The deadly incendiary weapon was invented by the Byzantine Empire in the 7th century.
Mm-hmm.
And for centuries afterwards, it was used to defend Byzantium. However, the formula for this weapon was a state secret. And now historians and scientists are unsure of what was actually used to create this liquid, which could burn on water.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just like Game of Thrones.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's very cool. And I love the fact that they still don't know. It's kind of like the eternal flames in the tombs.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know. Of course, that we can't do. We don't know how the hell they did that. And they would go out when people would go in there, and then they couldn't get them back. Crazy stuff.
Right.
But it's out there somewhere. Somebody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Just crazy stuff. The Inventio Fortunata is said to be a lost book written in the 14th century for England's Edward III, penned by a Franciscan from Oxford who traveled North Atlantic region in the early 1360s. He describes islands in the far north. How far did this person reach in his travels? His work has now become lost, but it was very influential with medieval and early modern geographers.
Wow.
Yeah, very cool stuff. It's kind of like the Vikings. One of the biggest mysteries of the Middle Ages is how far did they get? We know of a settlement like in Newfoundland, and that's, I mean, come on. They were in America.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and so was everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's Egyptian stuff everywhere, Chinese stuff, Japanese. I mean, I think that it's like, especially in the time before, but it's just one of those things.
Right.
Is the Vinland map real? It's another one people are wondering. In 1965, scholars presented to the world a 15th century map that depicts part of North America.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since then, scholars have disputed whether or not the Vinland map is real or fraud. The document can still be found in the library at Yale University. There's actually plenty of maps that show North America.
Mm-hmm.
And, they also show things like Antarctica and with vegetation.
Right. Well, the exact coastline without ice.
Yeah, exactly. Just crazy stuff. And there's some other mysteries, but there's some crazy stuff. And some of the craziest stuff is the accounts, when going through all this stuff, the accounts of dragon sightings.
Ah, dragons.
I mean, it's a whole different realm.
Right.
But there are dragon sightings all throughout ancient text.
Wow.
Scandinavia.
Mm-hmm.
Recorded in 1572, a dragon inhabited the area north of Lapland. The region was so desolate that the dragon was reduced to a diet of mice.
Poor dragon.
One that I've seen over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
London, England.
Mm-hmm.
November 30th, 1222.
Okay.
Dragons were seen over the city. And, I mean, not just by one person. The reports are, plenty. And the thing was, the dragons were seen and they describe them, and then it was followed by these really bad storms.
Uh-huh.
And some people are like, well, that's maybe the dragons are how they describe the thunderstorm. No. I mean, I think we had learned how to describe thunderstorms.
Right.
By that point. Maybe it's not dragons, but it's insane. And some of the times when you get to the descriptions are like these long snake-like things with wings, and that's just as horrifying or worse. You know what I'm saying? Henham, Essex, England. They found a 9-foot-long something or another, and it was discovered on a hillock near the town in 1669. The terrifying serpent remained in the area for some months, but inflicted no actual harm. I thought that was insane.
Yeah.
That the stories are this thing was, a dragon.
Right, and it was there.
But it didn't hurt nobody.
Right.
Ireland, according to legends, Tristan of Lyonesse slew a dragon in the 11th century.
Mm-hmm.
However, they announced in 1188 that Ireland was free from all dragons, possibly from the intervention of St. Patrick in the 5th century. I mean, it's insane.
Right.
That somebody, that they have accounts, and story or not, of slaying a dragon.
Sightings.
Yeah, and then saying, well, we're free of them now. Provence, France, a dragon called a drac, which you'll see come up again, inhabited the Rhone River throughout the 13th century. The town of Draguignan, I believe is how you're saying that, was named for it. The worst attack seemed to have occurred in Beaucaire. Now, Beaucaire is the big one I'm getting to here. Okay. Isle of Saint Marguerite, France. On the French island of Marguerite, a flying dragon was said to have killed over 3,000 villagers and knights throughout the Middle Ages.
Wow.
Because of the ferocity of the creature, it was often confused with the Tarasque. Although, unlike the Tarasque, it had wings. It was dubbed Drac and inhabited the Rhone River in France throughout the 13th century. It was infamous for the blood it shed. The French town of Draguignan was named after it. Most of Drac's attacks were aimed at the village of Beaucaire. Over a dozen armies went on campaigns after it, but none were successful. The specific campaigns are recorded in the French and early Germanic histories.
See, there had to be something.
The dragon is said to have eventually died of old age.
Wow.
Like that son of a bitch never lost.
Yeah, they couldn't kill it.
And that one is one of the craziest ones ever because they're attributing 3,000 villagers, all these armies.
Right, and clearly there was something, or they wouldn't have sent like crusades after it.
It's nuts.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's French and German.
And it was something powerful if they couldn't kill it.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy.
And it's written down.
Yes.
In history.
Drachenfels, Germany. Sometime before a fortress was built here in the 12th century, this mountain hid a dragon that flourished. It was said on a diet of young women. It's my kind of dragon.
There you go.
Sancto Garen of Germany. The naturalist Edward Topsell wrote in 1608 that Sancto Garen was plagued by a dragon whose flights caused fires. Wow. The dragon of Niedenberg poisoned wells by bathing in them.
Ew.
Yeah. I guess he peed his, gasoline or whatever.
Yeah, ew.
In Bonn, Germany, an Italian naturalist had in his collection a lindworm killed near Bonn in 1572. In Switzerland, Christopher Scorer reported the sighting of a winged mountain dragon near Lucerne in 1619, as well as an encounter in 1654 between a hunter and a dragon. The latter retreated with a rustling of scales into its mountain den. In Rome, Italy, the Historia Naturalis of Pliny the Elder reported that a dragon killed on Vatican Hill during the reign of the Emperor Claudius, who died in 54 AD, contained the body of a child.
Oh my gosh.
Centuries later, in 1660, the German Kirchner examined a dragon killed near the city. He commented on its unusual webbed feet. Wow.
I mean, those are actual historical records. They're not like books and stories.
In Kiev, Russia, in the 1200s, a Ukrainian historian named Balini wrote on a small dragon which terrorized the steppes of western Russia for decades.
Wow.
The dragon was called Gornyich and was finally killed by a Ukrainian hunter named Dobrinja to avenge his brother's death. Lindisfarne in England in 793, the same year that Vikings raided the coast, the monastery of St. Cuthbert on the island of Lindisfarne off the coast of England. Over 100 monks claimed to have seen a flying dragon with black wings.
Wow.
Others joined it at sunset. And the monks said that the sky was eventually filled with them.
Wow.
Now, this is monks. Holy men.
They're not really given to flights of fancy, are they?
No.
Wow. It makes sense because didn't Vikings use like dragon motifs on their boats and things?
They did.
I mean, it only makes sense that I know it's part of mythology. But
God knows what they've seen, right?
Yeah, that they had seen them.
That's the whole thing we talk about all the time. Everything, people want to attribute everything that's crazy to mythology.
Right.
Like this Troy, which was real. They found it.
Right.
There's so much stuff out there. They're just like, oh, well, that's part of mythology. And then you find it.
Right.
This is why I'm wanting to do this, because it's one after another from all over the bleeding place.
Mm-hmm.
Libya in AD 67, which is really close to some of these other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Roman historian Octavius Livy wrote that he personally witnessed a battle between the 8th Roman Legion and a great heraldic dragon in what is now Libya, and which lasted for almost a week.
Wow.
Over 3,000 Roman soldiers were killed in this battle, which finally ended with the remaining Romans building siege engines and cornering and crushing it to death in a canyon.
Wow. And see, that's a first-hand personal account.
Yeah.
That's not a story that was handed down.
It's the year, the place, the historian's name, and he tells who the Roman legion was led by.
Right.
I just didn't read it because it was hard to read. General Scipio Regulus.
And how they killed it.
Yeah.
Wow.
In Suffolk, in Essex, England, in the Cathedral of Canterbury, a history records that on Friday, September 26th of 1449, between the English towns of Suffolk and Essex, there was a fight between a huge black dragon and a red dragon, which was witnessed by an entire township and lasted for over an hour. In the end, the black dragon was badly wounded and retreated to its lair. Two of the most respected Englishmen of the 15th century witnessed the fight, John Steele and Christopher Holder, and later confirmed the validity of the event.
Wow.
How crazy is that?
That is crazy.
On the Scottish coast, now this is crazy.
Okay.
In 1942, the German U-boat Reichland torpedoed a Norwegian trawler near the Scottish coast. The crew witnessed what they later recorded as a great sea serpent over 60 feet long, breaching and swimming frantically away from the sinking ship.
Wow.
I mean, that's not the time they're going to be making something up.
No.
And finally on the dragons, and I'll wrap it up on the dragons, in 1966 in the Atlantic Ocean, 2 British paratroopers rowing across the Atlantic in a survival test were awakened. John Ridgway looked out of the boat and clearly saw a creature of enormous size, like a serpent, poised over them with its head held high above the waves.
Wow. So like water dragons.
Yeah, those are, yeah.
It could be like Nessie.
I mean, how freaking crazy, man.
That is insane. I never realized there were so many like historical accounts.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing.
dragons.
I found that just going through stuff, and I found the first one from 1222, and that's what got me interested. And I was like, well, that seems legit.
Right.
And then I looked up and I found another one. And then when I found the one with the whole, like all the armies,
Right.
I'm like, oh my God. But
That's
then
my favorite.
there was several of those though. You had the ones in Libya with the first-hand account of several of them.
Yeah.
And lasting a week, or the other one lasting years.
That's crazy. That's really crazy because, you hear all the stories about, all the dragons and like King Arthur and the dragon. And they make it like it's this just fantasy thing.
Right.
And it's really not.
Yeah, no. I mean, unless everybody decided to lie across the whole entire planet.
Right.
And I doubt these people saw the other accounts. I mean, I really do.
Right. But how would you explain, 3,000 guys in my army just keeled over and died, so let's just say it was a dragon.
Well, maybe it was a dancing plague, and they didn't want to say.
There you go. They didn't want to admit they'd been dancing all night.
So, with all that death, and it's been a while since I got to talk to the folks, so I had to do something special.
Okay.
So I'll be done after this, but I'm not done yet.
Okay, that's fine. I'm sure nobody minds.
I want to talk about something else.
Okay.
I want to talk about death omens.
Death omens.
Yes. Okay. And specifically, I'm going to concentrate on the UK still.
Okay.
Because, the Brits have sort of a fascination of death in the Middle Ages. And so we got a lot of cool stuff from that time period from them with a lot of, because, you'd lived, 10 years?
I feel like I'm seeing where your rabbit hole has gone this time.
Well, yeah. I really enjoyed the Middle Ages. I enjoy anything I find from there. Some of the things were just a little bit silly for me, too, like the magpies and stuff. But we will start with birds.
Okay.
So there is a story with magpies, and the belief is that if a magpie taps on your window, that's a sure sign death is on its way. The bird's trying to warn you.
Wow.
Victorians were particularly superstitious about magpies. And with the belief that seeing one solitary magpie is a very bad omen, gaining a lot of traction in this area. There's also the belief that hearing an owl screech 3 times or landing on your bedpost meant that death was going to pay a visit.
I think it just means you forgot to close the window.
Yeah, if an owl lands on my bedpost, death is definitely on its way.
Yeah, we have bigger problems,
Yeah.
I think.
Crows have been long known to be deadly omens.
Right.
They're linked to witchcraft and Satanism since the medieval age.
They're just misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
Misunderstood animals.
Yeah, they are. If they're swimming over our house, it doesn't mean there's a witch here, does it, Stacey?
Nope.
So, in fact, both owls and crows are closely associated with death in Celtic folklore, often being ambassadors for gods of death and the underworld. Mm-hmm. So, it's just birds in general. I think people are
they're
always
just ambassadors. Maybe death isn't coming. Maybe you're just having a conversation there.
Yeah, I guess so. Could be. So, next would be animals in general. Dogs, are supposedly close connection to humans. It's thought that they could sense trouble coming for their owners.
Yes.
With one belief citing that if a dog continued to howl by your bedroom window at night, you could expect to die pretty imminently.
I feel like if a dog howled near our bedroom window at night, the dog would be the one with the problem.
In Wales, there's a legend that if you see Sin An, it's a white dog with glowing red eyes, the size of a calf,
Oh, wow.
then you're predicted to die within a matter of days. It would be a matter of minutes for me.
Like have a heart attack.
Yeah.
It's the Grim.
Yeah. These dogs are said to belong to the Lord of the Underworld. You can hear their bark before you see them, and terrifyingly, they get quieter the closer they get to you. Meanwhile, in Scotland, they aren't fond of black sheep or any kind of black animal.
Right.
The color black has been associated with Satan by them since the 15th century. The birth of the black lamb would foretell misfortune and bereavements. And if 2 lambs with black faces were born, then you'd be said to lose your flock by the end of the lambing season.
Wow. They really hold on to stuff there, don't they?
Absolutely. Black cats can be good or bad luck depending on which part of the UK you were in. Scotland believed a black cat crossing your path was a sure sign of death was coming to someone in your family. Black cats are associated with witchcraft, so we're seen as a very bad omen. This kind of superstition, sadly, still prevalent today.
Right.
So,
right.
and rescue shelters will tell you, man, like they have to know who you are before you get a black cat.
Yeah.
So household items. During the medieval era, it was a tradition that brooms shouldn't be used during the month of May, because if you did use a broom, then you were inviting death into your home.
Wow.
If your broom fell over of its own accord, that meant death announced itself to your household.
I think I've heard that one.
So basically, don't clean in May.
Right, right.
Umbrellas were also frowned on, with the Victorians believing that umbrellas being opened inside the house meant a number of the culprit's family would be murdered.
Jeez. Wow, that goes back to Victorian time. I've always heard it's bad luck to open an umbrella in a house, but I never knew why.
Yeah, well, that one spread all around the world. It's commonly seen as a sign of bad luck to open it indoors. Dreams are seen as a precursor and warning of impending bad luck or bereavement. If in your dreams you see a doppelganger, the devil, or a solitary crow, this meant death was coming for you. Interesting about the solitary crow.
Yeah.
The double as death omen has been around for hundreds of years. Queen Elizabeth I was rumored to have seen her doppelganger reclining in her bed, looking pale and lifeless a few days before her own passing.
Ooh, that's creepy.
In Celtic folklore, there's legend of a fairy creature known as a changeling who should steal children and replace them with doubles who became sickly and died within days. This explanation meant parents could hold on to their belief that children were alive with the fairy somewhere, is what they think. Which I would actually probably go with that.
Yeah.
That's probably something a priest came up with somewhere,
Right, to comfort people.
Because little people wouldn't do that, I don't think.
No.
So they don't want those nasty humans. People are so stuck on themselves. One popular thing was believed death omen around funeral processions. If you saw a real life funeral procession going on, you should not cross paths in front, or you risk inviting death on your family. There's also a belief that if you saw a ghostly funeral procession, this foreshadowed the end of your life. So to keep yourself safe, you had to turn and walk away from the procession. Disrespect be damned. There's also a legend of corpse candles, flickering lights that seem to hover. These are seen by folks from their window or out walking. They were said to lead the souls of the dead to their resting place, with corpse candles heralding the oncoming bereavement.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were very unlucky, the corpse candles would come towards your house, foreshadowing a death in your household.
Wow. That'd be creepy. Just lights just floating to your house.
And finally, I'm going to end everything on something. This is a little bit different, but I thought it was kind of funny and weird and crazy, and it kind of incorporates everything I've talked about, going back to root words and just words in general and death omens. So in some folklore stuff I was looking up, I found this thing on these words. So like dead bell, DEADBELL.
Okay.
The dead bell, described as a tingling in the ears, was believed to announce a friend's death, according to something recorded in the southwestern district of Scotland in 1911.
Okay.
Dead spall. So it's DEDESPALL. The daddy spall, probably daddy spall. But it looks like dead. The dead spall was thought to be another omen of death. The dead spall is a semi-molten part of the grease of a candle, so called from its resemblance to wood shaving, when it falls over the edge in a semicircular form, and which, if pronounced and turning with an appearance of persistence towards some person in particular, was supposed to indicate the approaching of the hand of death.
Oh, wow. Like reading your future in candle wax.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Dead nip. Now, I've seen several of those. It's actually DEDENIP.
Okay.
It's described as a blue mark which appears on the body of a person about to die and without the physical explanation of a blow.
Huh. Like a bruise?
Yeah. I mean, just something that pops up without,
Right.
Dead drap. DEDEDRAP.
Okay.
The dead drap is the rather eerie sound made by the intermittent falling of a drop of water from the eaves. It's one of the significant terms associated with premonition of death.
Wow, that's strange.
And I'm going to finish it off here with dead check.
Okay.
Or dead watch. Can woodworms predict forthcoming deaths? Well, according to this, dead watch or dead check, really a peculiar clicking noise made by woodworms.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know woodworms. Well, I didn't know there were woodworms. That's hard to say. Or that they made a clicking noise?
Well, hopefully they don't around you.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just a few crazy things I want to talk about. And my favorite part was the dragons.
Yes.
Barbie dragons.
Dragons are cool.
They are cool. They're groovy.
Well, I mean, I say they're cool because they're not here trying to kill me. They probably would have been very cool if they lived in medieval times.
Well, no, I completely agree.
They'd be terrifying.
So I'm pretty excited because, those were cool stories, but I'm very excited about something else.
What's that?
I'm excited about getting a little creeped out.
Ooh.
From Stacey. I'm going to get a little creeped out with her, and my God, it's time. Have we been waiting for this? We've been waiting for this. Stacey Edwards, Paranormal News.
Inside a dying world, drawn and quartered left and right, there burns a lonesome candle filled with honesty and light. Down a guarded hallway and locked within a tomb, she draws a magic sigil, says some words, and follows clues. As the mainstream hills peddle fear and sing the end-time blues, our heroine from Halloween wears black and gives real news. It's now time for Stacey Edwards and Paranormal News.
So let's get to the news.
Let's.
All right, so let's start this first story, and this is about the upcoming UFO reports. The one that they have to release by June 1st.
Yes, which I find very strange, by the way. I'm just going to throw this out there.
Okay.
Let's not get political, but let's get political.
Okay.
All right, so let's not use names. I don't want to trigger anybody.
Okay.
So this new guy.
Right.
He hates the old guy.
Right.
Okay. The old guy, just about anything he did, the new guy has done something to negate what the old guy had done.
Right.
And from day one, I mean, I just find it very strange that with all the things that he has changed, that he hasn't changed this.
Right.
Because this would be one of those that I would think was like a day one type thing. The only reason that it's getting late, they're talking about it now. And now it's become real. It's become tangible, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are expecting something.
Right.
And so if it's going to be done, I think it's too late, don't you?
I do. Honestly, I think, because I believe this was buried down in some other bill, wasn't it?
Yes.
This particular
It's in the
thing.
stimulus packs.
And yeah, so I don't know if it would be easy to just reverse this one thing, but I think that there are a lot of members of Congress that really want this.
Yeah, absolutely. It like takes heat off, their tryst.
So this particular article talks about the former director of national intelligence, John Ratcliffe, and he did this interview with Fox News, and he said that, some UFO sightings have been declassified in the past, but this report that's set to be released by the Pentagon will present more information to the American people. And he said that, when they talk about sightings, it's not just a pilot or just a satellite or some intelligence collection. Usually there are multiple sensors that are picking up these things. So he's admitting that there are going to be more things that we don't know about, more information. And he also said elements that are hard to explain in the unreleased sightings include movements that are hard to replicate or traveling at speeds that exceed the sound barrier without creating a sonic boom. So people are really, really excited about this report coming out because supposedly there is going to be things that we had not heard about.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is what it's all about. It's supposed to be everything they have that we haven't seen.
Exactly.
Within reason.
Right.
And within reason, I think just they have to redact, names here and there. Other than that, and I don't care what they redact as far as names go, as witnesses and stuff. It's the important thing is that, we recovered this or we've seen that. And we know there's recovered craft because a couple years ago, the Army was going to work with private people to, hey, I'm going to show you what we got. You show us what you got.
Right.
And they talked about, off-world materials. So there's a treasure trove of things. And the very fact that there's craft that travel supersonic speeds without a sonic boom.
Right.
I'm sorry, there is nothing out there that does that and that we have.
No.
And we've seen these things. This is it. This is it. This is as close as you're going to get to what everybody's looking for with disclosure. Air quotes, disclosure.
Right.
This is it. This is really it. And this could finally be the year that we have disclosure. And disclosure is going to be in like a mouse because it's going to have to be. They're going to have to be like, okay, here's everything that came out and, we've seen all this. So it's going to be up to us to make it huge. It's going to be up to people that listen to this show. It's going to be up to people that listen to Coast to Coast. It's going to be people that listen to Darkness Radio, all the podcasters out there, all the news sites out there for alternative news. You're going to have to be the ones really sharing the crap out of this and making all the noise you can and making it a big deal and getting a hold of your local government to, hey, we want more answers. We want some, what's going on here? What's happening in our skies? We want to be protected. Our tax dollars need to be paying for research for this to find out, and open research, not closed door crap. The cloak and dagger era needs to be over with. You talk about cancel culture. The culture that we need canceled is the culture of secretive, the 1950s era, black sunglasses and black hats and all this. We need everything up front. We've went through too much and we've been put through too much from our government, from other governments about this. Abductees that have lived their life in shame, being told, oh no, that doesn't happen. You're imagining this. Nothing ever happened to you. Completely ruined careers. People that have seen UFOs and been told that they're crazy. Marriages that have ended, people that have been put in asylums, this is stuff that's real. absolutely stuff that's real. Look at Travis Walton. That's actually a good story. He at least got to make a living off of it, but I bet you that he would take it all back to have a normal life. I don't know. But, it's imagine how many people like that. I mean, you almost had all those people he worked with go to prison for murder.
Right.
I mean, if he hadn't been brought back, they're not going to believe them.
Right.
And we need to be past that. We need to be past that. The reason those police officers didn't believe those stories is because of the programming that has been done by design since day one of, hey, let's disinfo all this. Let's make all this seem like caca. And it's done. It's over with. Let's be done. Let this be a new dawning of new light. And, hopefully it will be. I don't know. I don't. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic.
Right.
But I don't see it happening. I just don't trust them.
Right.
And I don't think we're going to get anything we haven't heard already. It seems like we get the same things, regurgitated, rehashed, or a lot of those paragraphs of therefore, whereas, therefore, 7721.
Right.
And it's going to be over people's heads.
It's going to be like when NASA's like, we have this huge announcement. Yeah. Join us on Monday, and you join on Monday, and they're like, look, a new star.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Right.
It's like nothing major. Well, I will say that there was part of this article that claims that Marco Rubio told Fox Business that he was not sure that they were going to come in on time with this report. Now, granted, that is just his opinion. He doesn't have anything to do with the department that does this report. And I think the current director of national intelligence is confident that they'll have it ready. But they've already, now that seed's been sown there, it's already been said in public, well, maybe they're not going to make the deadline. I can just see them trying to file for like an extension or something.
Well, I mean, have they ever made the deadline for anything?
No, probably not.
I mean, come on. It's the United States government.
This is true. Whenever you were talking a minute ago, all I could do was picture, because you were talking about canceling the secrecy, and so all I could picture was the Men in Black showing up because you've had this great sighting.
God!
And I
was picturing that.
Were you
in Hawaiian shirts and
you were like, "I'm sorry, but you've been canceled. I'm not." You just go.
When I was talking about it. So sometimes when I'm talking about things, because of the way I work,
right,
I think of the joke.
Right. I was thinking of the joke.
And I'll go right to the joke. Okay. And I do that a lot of times when I'm talking about something serious because of like hashtag Bruce Wayne job. I talk in metaphor a lot to explain things.
Yes.
Or I tell a joke when I'm like, well, Harvey, you've not been doing a really good job. And I mean, you've been doing terrible.
Right.
And by terrible, I mean, there's probably things you can do. This isn't one of them. But that's okay. And then I'll go into a joke, to kind of lighten the mood as he's standing there shell-shocked.
Right.
And then use a metaphor.
Right.
But so when I was talking about that, I was thinking about when I said, we got to come off of this sunglasses, and I honestly was thinking of the Men in Black showing up and being like in their black uniforms, everything, and having a general come up and going, guys, could you step over here a second? Sir, we're not supposed to even talk to you. Yeah, well, that's kind of over with. I need you to step over here in this. Johnson, open the door. Okay, Johnson here has your new uniforms. Is that a Hawaiian shirt, sir? It is. We thought it was, kinder and gentler. And
you're more approachable now.
You can go to people's houses now and just look more like one of them.
And barbecue.
Just, is that khaki shorts? It is. Absolutely. And we want you to use the razor a little less and maybe hit a tan a bit, for the love of God.
Right.
Why are you so pasty? But, I mean, I don't think the Men in Black are ours.
No, I don't think so either.
I still think the Men in Black is a whole enigma on its own.
It is.
Because you got to look. The Men in Black has not only been attributed to United States phenomenon, it's been attributed to things like the King Arthur. We talk about Nick Redfern's book that I love so much with the Women in Black. It had a chapter in there toward the end that I love so much. It was actually in a Men in Black book. He ended up writing the Women in Black book and then put that back in there.
Right.
But I loved it so much. It was about his friend that was into the Arthurian legends, and it's in one of our older episodes. So if you go back, you'll hear this definitely in long form, because even in some of the old interviews, if you're a patron and you go back to one of the Haunted South or Third Side interviews we did with him on both shows, I know I talked to him about it on both shows.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love the story. It's one of those that grabbed me so much. You don't get to talk to a lot of Arthurian legend people, you know?
Right.
It's far enough away from the paranormal field where I don't have people come in that are like UFO and Arthurian experts.
Right.
But it was so crazy because, you know, this guy was getting really close to something and he had found a hidden entrance. And really thought that it might be, you know, related.
I mean, he clearly got very, very close.
So he gets visited and, you know, they're like, well, you might not want to be doing this. And, you know, it was a woman, and that's why the whole Woman in Black thing.
Right.
But she was dressed like your traditional MIB. And, you know, he was going to continue on with it. And then later that night, it goes straight to like a Mothman type thing. There was something up here in front of his car, and it was like a classic Mothman type deal. Anyway, it was enough of a deal for him to stop what he was doing.
Yeah, like his life's work.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't pursue it anymore, and then he died. I believe he died of cancer, but, you know, who's to say, right?
Right.
Heart attack gone. I mean, you don't ever really know, but it's one of those things that it's not just the Men in Black thing is something we really need to dive into again. It's been long enough now.
Yeah, it has.
That we should really jump down that hole again because, my God, that's just like Black Eyed Kids. It doesn't really, it's always fun to bring that up a couple years later, you know?
Yeah, and give the new account.
But what do you think? What's your thoughts on the UFO stories? What do you think is going to happen?
I am of the mind, like you, that I don't think that they're going to really give us anything new and extra. I think they're just going to rehash a lot of the same stuff that we already know. They may add a few little tidbits here and there. They might even put a couple things in there to throw you off. Yeah. You know, like maybe they put something in there that really is from another country or something.
Let me just throw this out there.
Okay.
Since they're saying they're going to do it, it's what we're expecting. And from all intents and purposes, they know what they're releasing. They've seen this, maybe not every page, and that's what's taking a minute, is they're having to go through this for national security reasons. But they're seeing some of the stuff that's going to be released. And they're like, well, damn. You know, if we're releasing now, we need to release this too, and all this stuff. You know, maybe we're about to get our minds blown. Maybe we're about to absolutely get our minds blown. I could tell you.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
If they just, like, June 1st, and they're just like, okay, here it is.
Yeah, I mean, it could very well be the case.
You never know. Well, let's go on to this next story. It's sort of in the same theme, and it's an interview that was done on Mystery Wire, which is George Knapp, and he talks to Brazil's leading ufologist. His name is A.J. Javard. Now, Javard has been publishing an international UFO journal for more than 40 years. And they talk about how the Brazilian military investigates UFO incidents and has opened its files in an attempt to be more transparent with its investigations. Now, they did that years ago. They opened up, they're trying to do this transparency thing for years now. But the interview is really interesting. And this researcher talks about how they assembled a team of men, like 30 to 40 men, heavily equipped to investigate the strange lights, because they have tons of sightings there in Brazil. It's really a hot spot. And it was called Operation Saucer. And it's the largest military mission that they have knowledge of in the world to investigate these type of unidentified lights and sightings and objects.
The problem is the first day, all the guys showed up in like little short sparkly dresses and high heels. And they were like, not salsa, guys. Saucer.
They all had roses in their mouths.
They're like, oh, we thought there was the forbidden dance.
Well, supposedly during the beginning of this particular Operation Saucer, the men that were part of it stayed in their location for 4 months. And this happened from September to December 1977. And supposedly all of these documents are online. There's a link in this article where you can go and look at all of the documents.
Awesome.
And
somebody should make a documentary.
You can watch and read this entire interview, and they talk about sightings, they talk about material, they talk about supposed captured ETs, just anything that this investigator has been, studying and researching for the last 40 years.
It's the largest, part of South America there. I mean, it's there's so much mass that they've got to go over. It's very interesting.
Right. And I love that because even in like Chile, we talk about Chile all the time, how transparent they are and how open they are with the fact that they investigate these things.
Absolutely.
So,
Mexico is as well. They're pretty open as well with it. And, most people are.
Right.
I mean, some people, it's their damn religion. I mean, look at the Russians, right?
People in some countries are like, what? Yeah, what? What's the big deal?
Yeah, we all want to know. Thanks, America. Sorry.
That's okay. All right. So why we're still talking about UFOs, let's just mention this happened last month, but Baker Mayfield had a UFO sighting.
Yeah, he did. And that's actually, I thought it was a pretty big deal because you're already, I guess he looked at the fact, I'm the quarterback for the Browns.
Right.
I got to get my jersey sold somehow. And he's, so maybe I get the ufologist on board.
Right.
Next month I talk about, I believe in ghosts, and then.
Oh Lord, he'll be on to Flat Earth before you know it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's. I'm sure he's on Flat Earth already. No, actually they've done pretty well. The Browns have been buying a hell of a team.
Yes, yes they have.
Every time you turn around, it's like, the Browns purchased another one.
Oh well. He tweeted it out and he said that he was almost 100% sure him and his wife saw a UFO drop straight out of the sky on their way home from dinner. They stopped the car, they looked at each other and asked each other if they saw it. And I believe that they both did see it, which is very unusual.
Yeah,
that's like a paranormal occurrence right there.
She's a keeper, buddy. Listen, Baker, if you've got into all this now and you're listening to us, absolutely keep that one, because some girls aren't ever paying attention. Some girls, you can see
just looking the wrong direction.
You can see the most amazing thing ever, but they live in their own little dream world. I'm just saying, it's something I've heard.
No, now see, what it is sometimes some women look at a different part of the sky so that the whole thing can be covered. If you're both looking in the same spot, what happens over there? If it happens over there, nobody sees it.
Most people look out the front window. Most people don't play games on their iPad the entire 11-hour drive without ever looking up.
Oh, that's not true. Well, as funny as this is, after it happened, of course, Colin Cowherd had to put his opinion on it.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and
I hate that guy so bad.
Kind of.
Let me just tell you something.
Right.
This goes back years. I'm talking decade, probably more, 15 years. I hate that guy. If I'm ever in the same room with Colin Cowherd, I will beat the living shit out of that guy. Do not edit that. I want that out there.
Okay.
I want that to be a soundbite. I want us to pick up national syndication.
Right.
And I want the first thing them to go, paranormal podcast host John Edwards once talked about Colin Cowherd. This is after I beat his ass.
Right.
At some, Emmy award winning thing or something. I'm serious. I don't care if it's 10 years from now. I don't care if the guy's in a wheelchair. I will beat the living brakes off him.
I can see the headline now. Colin Cowherd's wheelchair mysteriously flies down the hill. Nobody knows how it happened.
Oh, it's gonna be bad. This guy is so annoying. He's one of the. Well, I want to talk about wrestling today. Wrestling. Did you hear that? Wrestling, huh? Wrestling. This is how he does. And he's like, I like to call them booger eaters.
Oh, jeez. I see where the hate comes from. Well, that's how he kind of was with this. He was really dismissive and making fun of it. And I believe his quote was, Joe Montana, Troy Aikman, Terry Bradshaw, and Tom Brady have never seen aliens. I would prefer my guys don't talk about it. That's what he said on his show. So as funny as that is, Tom Brady had to get in on the action because it's NFL. Tom Brady's everywhere. And he tweeted to Colin Cowherd and he said, "How do you know I've never seen an alien, Colin?"
Yeah.
So kind of sticking up for,
especially in New
Baker
England.
Mayfield. Yeah, really. I'm sure he's seen plenty.
Well, now he's in a hotbed now.
Yeah. Yeah. If it wasn't bad enough being in New England, now he's all the way down in Florida.
Yeah.
Probably sees him all the time.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's move on to this next story. And this is about how scientists want to build a, quote, doomsday vault of Earth's species on the moon, just in case.
Yeah, man. I mean, we have one of those here, right?
Right. I believe we do. Yes.
Like a DNA bank.
Yes.
I don't see a problem with this at all. I'd read this and I thought it was a hell of an idea.
I think so too. So this is from a team of researchers from the University of Arizona, and they made the proposal. They presented their idea at the IEEE Aerospace Conference, and they claim they see it as like a modern global insurance policy against disasters. That if you have what they're calling a lunar arc, where all these cryogenically frozen samples of like sperm and eggs and spores and seeds and I think they said 6.7 million species can be protected safely on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel like this is a really good idea, just in case. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I mean, plus it's kind of cool if something does happen to us.
Right.
It's kind of interesting though, because say there's a big cataclysm, everything goes back. We've all seen those History Channel shows, how long does it take for the ficus to take back over the buildings, and all this stuff. And
right.
It doesn't take long. The steel disappears, all the metal disappears, the wood, structures go.
Right.
And you got the next generation of humans that come up and they think they're the first ones and all this stuff. And then one day they make it to the moon and they find this building. And they're like, "Oh my God, it's aliens. They left this here." When I heard this story, that's the first thing I thought of.
Right.
Is any structure that we think we've seen. Like there's this and that out there. And what if it was all us in a previous time around?
Wow, that'd be weird.
They're like, "Hey, let's build this and put this up there." Like we had the same idea.
Right, right.
Be interesting, wouldn't it?
That would be interesting. Now, they claim that this is different than, because the one that we have here on Earth is just a seed vault. It's in Svalbard, and it's the Doomsday Seed Vault. So it's just the plants. This would be not only plants, but DNA.
What if
everything?
The pyramid or Göbekli Tepe was a seed vault or something like that for Mars?
I mean, it could have been. I mean, we don't know what that thing is.
They're like, "Hey, something might happen to us soon. Let's go to this planet." And
you think, there's all those carvings and stuff on all those pillars. Maybe there's some way to open like hidden doors or something.
Or underneath the pillar is that particular animal.
I mean, it was covered on purpose. So.
That's the craziest thing, right?
I know. I can't wrap my head around that.
It goes back to the time of the last cataclysm. Mm-hmm. So 13,000, let's be roughly, 12,500 years ago.
Right.
So 12,500 years ago, we come out of the last ice age. And that was after a period of like 2,000 years that we dealt with. We had a huge cataclysm.
Right.
And then there was like 2,000 years that was just really hard to live. It was you could survive, obviously, because we did in very low numbers.
Right.
But most of your major, your bigger animals died off. Vegetation died off, right? Mm-hmm. And then we come out of that. And exact age that we come out of that, we build this grandiose structure that they can't figure out how they built it now. They think it would have been hunter-gatherers. Hunter-gatherers don't build that.
Right,
they generally don't build because they're hunter-gatherers.
Right.
But there's this incredible thing that they've built that we have still yet to uncover all of, which really pisses me off, but still yet, it's still being uncovered.
Right.
And it's incredible. It's so mind-blowing that they would rather not talk about it.
Right.
But then it's like 1,000 years after it's made or maybe not even that long. They covered the whole damn thing up with dirt carefully. and hide it.
Right.
Why did they hide it?
If you think about it, Göbekli Tepe is only uncovered, as much as been uncovered, it's only 5% is what they're predicting, because they've done the ground penetrating radar. So they know that there's a lot more out there, a lot more of the circles.
5% since the mid-90s.
Right. And every bit of that structure was covered purposely with dirt. Now, if you think about that, where did all that dirt come from? That is a mountain's worth of dirt. I mean, maybe there was a mountain there right beside Göbekli Tepe that is not there anymore.
I mean, what did they have to do it with?
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't have just constructed modern shovels, or even if they did, that's shovels.
Right. But and where did it come from? There's not a huge hole somewhere else. You know?
How did they make the monoliths? How did they I mean, where did they get the stone from? How did they carve the stone? And put how did they know about these animals?
The whole thing is just insane.
It's ridiculous. It's so insane. I think there's clues out there, because most of your flood stories, no matter what it is, because there's thousands of them, but like the one from the Bible, the Mount Ararat or whatever is right there, within walking distance or whatever. Go back to Tepe, like a day's journey or something. But it's all in that same area, and there's so much in Turkey that's just insanity.
Right.
That's out there, and I don't know, man. The Göbekli Tepe is one of the craziest structures, if not the craziest, just from trying to understand it.
I know.
It don't make sense, and the 5% thing bothers the hell out of me, because we don't know what's carved on all these other ones.
Right.
Imagine they've shown before what they see with the ground penetrating radar, and it's more of these rows and rows and rows, built pretty much the same way, the same kind of structure, of these type things that have the carvings on them, right?
Right.
So it can be all these things that we've never seen before. It could be all this knowledge that we don't have yet, that's just right there. We know where it's at. So why don't we just quickly, you would think we could quickly uncover it.
Right.
And then study it slowly.
Right.
That's what bothers me. Is I think there has to be some kind of way, or maybe there's an entrance, maybe there's something.
I don't know. And even if they wanted to dig it out a little slower, why not send a lot of archaeologists there? I mean, I know it's probably like one team wants to work on it, but what if you had teams from everywhere working in different areas?
It should be
at the same time.
It's for humankind.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's for humankind. Why would we not go, okay, this is crazy, guys. We didn't think this was possible. We need to send everybody here now.
Yeah. This is very strange.
We need volunteers, though. And I mean, how quickly would I would probably, if they said, look, we'll put you up, we'll put your family up. You won't get paid, but, we will put you room and board.
Right.
I'd be like, okay, well, we're going to leave for 5 years.
Well, the thing is with the ground penetrating radar, they can see kind of where things are. So you could have people digging out areas where there isn't anything super important.
They can see exactly where things are.
Yeah. So I don't know. Very strange. The whole thing's very strange. All right. So, but Doomsday Vault, good idea on the moon, I think. All right, so let's move on. And this next story is just kind of a cool story about something strange that they found on an asteroid. And this is about how scientists were shocked.
Oh, not baffled.
No, they were shocked at water and organic material found on an asteroid for the first time. Now, this is from an asteroid called Itokawa. And this sample was one that came from Japan's first Hayabusa mission in 2010. So they've had this sample. I mean, it's very small, like just like a grain, and they've had it for a while. But they've just recently published this study where they found that it showed both water and organic matter that originated on the asteroid itself and not been picked up from another world.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
It really is.
And so it's the first time they've found that, which just makes them more excited to really study those samples that they just brought back from Ryugu last year. They went and got those new asteroid samples. And it does claim that this particular asteroid that this sample is from what they call an S-type asteroid, which are the most common ones that come to Earth, that it can contain the raw components of life and that it can generate those on its own. So that just opens up all these new doors as to how asteroids develop. Could it eventually develop into a world itself? I mean, you never know. But very crazy study. Very crazy
That's
find.
like so insane that it's not even funny. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Like they didn't think there was water anywhere else in the entire universe except Earth. And now it's on an asteroid too.
Yes.
And organic material?
Yeah.
That's really, really, really insane.
They're hoping that this is going to set the groundwork for more detailed analysis of some of the other samples. So I'm really excited to see what kind of things they get from these new samples, now with all of our new technology.
Well, I thought it was kind of crazy. A few years ago, all these companies really wanting to get in on mining asteroids.
For the minerals and stuff.
Yeah, it's like they all knew something that we didn't know.
Something was being whispered in the circles.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's move away from space news now. And I just want to talk about two stories that we talked about before, but it's kind of like a little bit of more information. And the first one is the cattle mutilations in Oregon. This is still happening.
Oh, my God.
This is still being reported on. This started way back in 2019, and we started reporting on it. And there have been more news stories. This one's from Prineville, Oregon. And it's about the Crook County Sheriff's Office. And they came out and said they're investigating several suspicious cattle deaths and possible mutilations, that the cause of the cattle deaths were not natural and are under investigation, that certain body parts were removed from the cows, and that they are providing extra patrols to the rural portions of the county in an attempt to locate who's responsible, because they still have no clue. So that is still going on. It hasn't stopped. I mean, I know that this sort of thing goes on all the time, but it's not usually where you hear about it quite so much.
That's probably happening more than we are even hearing about, to be like that.
Probably. And there's probably ranchers that maybe don't even report it. Yeah. They just find them. And
I don't know. That's insane. I mean, that's to be in that same area like that. It's weird.
It is weird. And I don't know. I mean, I know they stepped up their patrols, but I'm not sure they haven't come out and said what they theory is or what they expect to find, or if they're expecting to catch a person or an animal.
Well, I'm sure they're always expecting to catch a person, which
I'm sure they are.
I mean, that's just that. I don't know. That the cattle mutilations are weird anyway. Kind of think we might know, but you would think they would have figured it out by now.
Well, and
if the aliens are looking for something,
right? And you would think that with all the attention it's getting, the aliens would have moved on to another part of the country. Moved on. Yes. Well, this other story that I have is also like that one. This one is about the town in Mexico, Medellin de Bravo. It's in Mexico, and this is about the sheep deaths. The sheep that are being killed and by having the bite marks and the blood sucked out.
Yeah.
And we started talking about this, I believe, last year, but they have continued to have attacks. The most recent, just like at the end of February. And they are still have no idea what's going on. Even veterinary doctors who've treated the animals said the bites are not those corresponding to like anything they would know of, like a lynx or a coyote, a bat or a dog, or something that they know.
And chupacabra.
Yeah, something that they know inhabits the region. And they ruled out that it could be a case of cattle rustling because the sheep don't disappear. They just had bites like on
their...
their...
not cattle.
Exactly. I think they still call it cattle rustling, right. I guess. But they had bites like on their necks or on their snouts or on their legs. And so it's just that really strange thing with where they claim it's chupacabra, and nobody knows because there's no trace.
Yeah, too bad they can't just ask the sheep.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
They can't. So just wanted to update those just so everyone knows that I'm still kind of continuing watching those stories because it is still happening. There's no conclusion in sight.
No, it's really weird, man.
Definite paranormal stories.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's especially the vampiric part of it.
Yes. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about Egypt. So a series of strange events that has occurred in Egypt over the last week or so has kind of sparked some speculation among the residents that perhaps they're being struck by a pharaoh's curse.
Oh, my God.
So, of course, we all heard about the ship that got stuck in the Suez Canal.
Yep.
And they claim that...
like $400 million.
Yeah. They claim that in addition to that, they also saw a train crash that killed a staggering 39 people. There was the collapse of an apartment building where 18 people perished, and a massive fire at a railway station, which didn't result in any deaths, but caused considerable chaos. And this is all like in the span of a week. So it's all just sort of happening at the same time, and individually they're all unfortunate, but when you take them all together, in that 1 week, it kind of feels like Pharaoh's curse.
Right.
Now, the reason they feel that this is happening is because they had to move pharaohs, mummies, from the old Egyptian museum to the new National Museum of Egyptian Civilization.
Yeah, because they've been changing the museums.
Yes. Now, this happened today, the day that we're recording. And they called it the Pharaoh's Golden Parade. And what happened was they made it this huge event. It was very elaborate.
Yeah, oddly enough, that's not the first time that's happened in history.
It was like celebrity guests, musical performances.
You've come on a very interesting night.
Very
Tonight is the Pharaoh's Golden Parade.
Various other forms of pageantry, and it was broadcast on television around the world. It was enormous, and some people thought that maybe that was disrespectful for these mummies, and that's why they're being cursed now.
I think it was very respectful.
They really did make it a huge performance. And it was
it's not like somebody stood behind the mummies and made them like do dance numbers.
No, this is true. They were packed in like nitrogen-filled crates and loaded on these special
They could have been going down the street like, hey, hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime girl.
They could have been doing like a fashion show, and here comes Queen Hatshepsut in the latest Egyptian fashion.
Never mind the worker behind holding the limbs.
So there were 22 pharaohs. Some of the more famous ones, of course, was Queen Hatshepsut. She's my favorite, the only, female pharaoh, because she's breaking all the rules.
That we know of.
Ramses II. They lined them up like in order of age, like the oldest to the
Oh, that's the problem.
newest, I guess. And it went off without a hitch. I mean, it was wonderful procession. It was very theatrical. And they claim that there is no such thing as a Pharaoh's curse. And even Zahi Hawass, who is part of all this, claims that, all these accidents are just fate. There's no connection, that he's been working on all of these things, these excavations and this parade, and nothing's happened to him.
Oh, God. It's real. If Hawass is saying it's not real,
right?
Everybody stay inside.
I mean, those are famous last words. He shouldn't have said that.
Hopefully.
Now, they also talked to Egyptian historian and writer Bassam el-Shama, rejected the rumors of the Pharaoh's curse on the country, and he claimed that phrases and shapes carved on the walls of temples are simply expressed the imagination of the ancient Egyptians. And I'm not sure I buy that.
No.
I feel like there really are curses, that this is not one of them, but that they really do have a Pharaoh's curse that you can, be cursed by.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, it's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That's a stupid saying.
Yes.
Like, they're going to take the time. Well, we're going to build this pyramid or whatever. Of course, it's not in a pyramid.
Right.
But we're going to build this tomb, and inside we're going to, just for shits and giggles, we're going to put this curse on the wall, and, we're going to spend all these months in preparing this, and 60 days to do the body, and
right we're gonna
doesn't mean anything though.
We're gonna write all of our religious beliefs and all of our trail to the underworld and everything that we believe in, but then we're gonna put this joke over here.
Yeah, it's just like we always talk about. It's like we always talk about.
Right.
Everybody just has to be like, oh, there ain't nothing to it, there's nothing to it at all, but there is.
Right
They say that until it is. Just frustrating.
All right, so let's go on to some discoveries. And this is about some scientists who were stunned by fossils found deep beneath Greenland's ice sheet.
Oh, I thought maybe they found those Vikings we were talking about went missing.
No. So they found a 15-foot tube of ice and dirt from Greenland that was recovered in 1966 by a U.S. military team that had drilled over a mile down into the ice.
Why?
Why did they drill down?
Yeah.
To see what was down there, I guess.
Okay.
But they found it in the back of a freezer at the University of Copenhagen.
Of course they did.
And they just started analyzing it for the first time in 2019. I feel like they drilled this out and purposely put it in the back of the freezer until they could study it better, till they had better technology. Right. So in the study that they just published, they talked about the discovery of perfectly preserved twigs and leaves locked within the extracted ice cores. So the existence of these plants implies that there was once vegetation in that spot where there's the ice now.
Wow.
And it claims that a decent portion of Greenland must have been ice-free sometime within the past 1,000,000 years.
Oh, man.
Isn't that crazy?
It really is.
And they claim that it's really a great find because ice sheets typically, pulverize and destroy everything in their path. But what they found were really delicate plant structures. They're like fossils, but they look like they just died yesterday because they were preserved. So it's very, very cool.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
It could be really cool what they find there. I mean, that could be, wow, that could be so many things down there. It's really interesting.
I know. It just makes me wonder what is under the ground under the ice.
Yeah.
If they got all these, because obviously if they got the plants and the twigs and there was not ice and there was vegetation, there has to be other fossils down in the dirt where they can't even dig.
Yeah. I mean, that's insane. I mean, it's just like, they're finding so much off the coast of Australia right now because when the last, when the ice sheets melted, it raised the water so high, and it took up, I mean, man, it flooded a big part of places, all the coastal areas in the world.
Right, right.
And that's where a lot of people live because of fish or whatever. Right. You always have a high density of population on the coastal areas. So, I mean, it's nuts really what we've probably, lost at that point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right, so let's move on to this next discovery, and it's about how Israeli experts discover new Dead Sea Scrolls.
Oh, yeah.
And these are the first new scrolls found in archaeological excavations in the desert south of Jerusalem in 60 years. So they were discovered in a complex operation on the cliffs of the Judean desert, and they were retrieved from a place called the Cave of Horror.
Wow.
Yeah. And they are...
Bunch of snakes, probably. Seriously.
No. Now, it got that nickname because they believed that these were hidden by Jewish refugees during a Jewish revolt against Rome nearly 1,900 years ago. And where this cave is, they had to rappel with ropes to get into the cave. And at the top of the cliff was like they found where there was a Roman camp where they were there to get to the refugees. And in this cave, they found 40 skeletons of men, women, and children that they believe were the Jewish refugees. So that's why they nicknamed it the Cave of Horror.
Johnson, why are you dressed like that? I mean, I appreciate the fact you found these Dead Sea Scrolls. I mean, God knows we've been looking for those forever. Well, why are you dressed like that?
I thought it was the Cave of Horrors, sir.
Horrors.
Oh, yeah, horrors. I got all this protection, and it just,
Oh, poor Johnson.
Poor Johnson.
Poor Johnson.
I can't believe that we found more Dead Sea Scrolls.
I know.
We've looked. I mean, and man, it's just like I was watching this new technology, that where they can read the letters without unwrapping them.
Oh, I know. They can scan them somehow and see what's
on the insane. It's so insane. I didn't know mail was sent without envelopes at one point. That's what another crazy part for me was finding out. They were like, well, we can read these old letters now and we don't even have to open them up because of the computer programs, because, they used to make envelopes their own, or their letters, you would fold them in a way to be their own envelope.
Right.
And that's cool in its own right. But if you can do that, I mean, if you could dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball, you would think you'd be able to put these Dead Sea Scrolls in something, and be able to without worrying about them turning to dust or whatever.
Right. Now, they claim that the newly found fragments of parchment have lines of Greek text from the books of Zechariah and Nahum, and they've been radiocarbon dated to the 2nd century AD. So very cool find. And they also found, in the same place where they found these particular Dead Sea Scrolls, they also found the mummified remains of a child from 6,000 years ago.
I have to also say, people get really excited about this because it's like, hey, that's actually at the time of Jesus.
Right.
It's 200 years after Jesus. Just saying. It is cool because it's a lot better than something 1,000 years later.
Right.
But at the same time, you're still talking about 200 years later.
Right.
And that's just kind of crazy to me, right? I mean, it would be like the equivalent right now is like, well, I'm gonna write the first-hand account of this book from 1820, and it's gonna be pretty accurate.
Right.
It's 1820. I mean, that's virtually right now.
Right.
And I know a lot about it because I got these first-hand accounts, and I completely trust these guys from 1820.
Right.
So, I mean, think about that. And here's the deal. We kept some pretty damn good records in 1820. We did. Probably the best records that, we kept really good records.
Right.
But with as good of records as we kept, think about how spotty stories are that we have from 1820.
Right. I mean, do we need to play the telephone game?
Well, I'm just saying.
Right.
Now, how good of records do you think they kept in 20?
Right.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying. Well, I think people just don't really think about it because when you're thinking of history that's a long time ago, you're like, oh, it was 200 years. That doesn't sound like a lot.
Yeah.
But if you try to think of it in like your own lifetime, I mean, think of all the things that happen over a span of 200 years.
Oh, God.
It's ridiculous. It's a long time.
I mean, when I heard about, it was written in 66, that's not 33. I mean, it's just, I worry about things like that because other people don't seem to.
Right.
And just like you said, they're like, oh, that's great. To me, 200 years is no different than 5,000. I mean, it's still, you weren't there. And at the time, they didn't have computers.
You weren't there. Your mom wasn't there.
Yeah.
Your grandmother wasn't there,
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty big deal.
Right.
You're relying on the words of somebody else that, if it's
stories have been passed down.
If that was done correctly.
Right.
So just saying.
All right, so let's move on. This next story is just a really cute story I wanted to mention because I loved it, and everybody has to go look at the adorable picture of this boy who found a fossil in his garden that's up to 500 million years old.
Oh, so awesome.
And he's 6 years old, and he had a fossil hunting kit that he got for Christmas. And he was outside and he said he was just digging for worms and trying to look for things like little pottery and bricks and stuff like that. And he just came across this rock that was really oddly shaped. It was like in the shape of a horn. And so his little gut reaction was that he needed to keep that it was different and special. And he thought maybe it could be a tooth or a claw or a horn or something. And through some research, he showed it to his dad, and they did some research online and got in some like fossil hunting groups and stuff and sent the pictures out and asked some people, and they determined that it is a piece of horn coral, which is estimated to be between 251 and 488 million years old.
Jesus.
So very old piece of like fossil that he found. And I think that they're going to try and get a geologist from Birmingham University's Museum of Geology to maybe take a look at it, just confirm it. But the pictures are adorably standing there with his little fossil. He's so cute.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. It really is, because we know how kids are, and it's just be so cute. I mean, that kid's got, number one, if I was the company that made that little fossil hunting kit, I would have that kid right now on commercials.
Yeah, exactly.
Going, I found this.
Giving his testimonial.
Actually, and if I was college, I'd be giving him like a honorary scholarship be like, well, hey, you want to be a junior archaeologist?
There you go.
I mean, just because it's great.
It is a very feel-good story.
And it also gets kids involved, right? Maybe they'll get excited now about that and get outside.
Yes, that's what everyone needs to do.
Yes.
Speaking of the odd digging up.
Can you imagine
occurrence,
when that kid's like mom came home and she's like, yeah, John, I saw Junior there on the TV there on the way home, and he's outside by himself there catching that fossil, huh? So where the hell are you at? Oh, I was watching from the kitchen.
Yeah.
When Daddy was making bao bao with the,
Bow bow.
It's another country.
Oh.
Go ahead.
All right, so let's go on to this next story now about another odd way to dig up archaeological finds. And this is about some rabbits that dug up
it's all about bao bao.
9,000-year-old artifacts on a place called Dream Island.
Oh, well, that sounds like a weird fantasy all on its own.
So this is an island off the coast of Wales in the United Kingdom.
Oh, yeah, just right down the street.
The island is known for the tens of thousands of seabirds that nest there in the spring and summer months. And that's how it's like a natural beauty and wildlife. It's earned the nickname Dream Island.
It's not a dream island full of sea pigeons.
But apparently starting in... It used to be called Stockholm Island. But starting in 1324, it became like a rabbit farm for like
rabbits?
200 years. Yes, rabbits. And so there's a bunch of rabbits that live there. And they don't do a lot of archaeological digs there. But recently, the wardens of the island, the ones that are monitoring it while everybody's on lockdown, happened to notice that the burrowing bunnies unearthed an artifact. It was this really smooth oval-shaped stone that they recognized to be a Stone Age tool, like a stone tool.
Right.
And so they emailed photos of it. They call it a pebble. It's not a pebble. It's much bigger than a pebble. I think of a pebble as like a little tiny rock.
Like a rabbit poo.
Yeah. So they emailed photos of it to an archaeologist with the Royal Commission who contacted a prehistoric stone tool expert. And this stone tool expert claims that it is clearly of a late Mesolithic, which is Middle Stone Age, beveled pebble, which is a tool that is thought to have been used in tasks like preparation of seal hides or making skin-clad watercraft,
waking up your friend,
processing food, things like that, and that it dates to about 6,000 to 9,000 years ago. And they claim that the next day when they went out there, they also found a piece of pottery in the same area that these rabbits have somehow dug out of the ground. So thanks to these little rabbits finding these things, they are now going to undertake archaeological work on the island this summer.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
It really is.
Do you think the rabbits really did it, or do you think they were out there digging and they found stuff and they're like, oh gosh, we weren't supposed to be digging out here?
I would say that the little Johnson rabbit's in a lot of trouble with the other rabbits.
Like, we've had that hole for 900 years, jackass.
Now we got to move. How funny. So it's really cool that they're going to do this dig because they didn't realize that these kind of tools, while they're well known on the coastal sites, that they've not really found those things on that island. Like they didn't know there was that big of a presence.
Because
island.
a couple of reasons. Mm-hmm. One reason is all the damn sea pigeons.
Right.
Nobody's going to stay there very long. I'm telling you, that's a lot of sea pigeons to have to put up with all the time.
It really is.
And then you got a bunch of rabbits stealing your shit and putting them down a hole. I mean, that sounds like some thieving ass rabbits.
They're like, we're going to have to move.
I mean, they got, since the Mesolithic, we've been stealing crap down this hole. They're going to get down there. It's going to be like this big, like, they're going to have it like all marked on the walls, like tools through the ages and all this stuff. It's just bad. Just real bad.
Oh, well, I have one more discovery, and this one made me think of you. So this is about a homeowner who unearthed the remains of a lost 13th century palace under his garden.
Wow, it's a big garden.
Yes. Well, what made me think of you is because he had planned on building a small bungalow in that area so that he could sell off his house and now he can't
Oh.
because he's found the remains.
Because he found the remains of that palace down the street.
So his name is Charles Pohl, and he's the property owner. And he's not very excited about what he's found. He says he lives on his own in a house in Palace Gardens, and he's disabled. And he was having a bungalow built in the garden for himself so he could sell the house off.
Wait. What's the name of the place he lives?
Palace Gardens.
What did he find in his garden?
He found a palace in his garden. Seems like a given, doesn't it?
Kinda. I think maybe you should have thought of that. I mean, that can't be correct. You got to be reading something wrong.
No, that's what.
Okay, so he found a palace under his garden, and he lives in Palace Gardens.
I live on my own in a house in Palace Gardens. Yeah, that's what it says. It's in the town of Wiveliscombe. Never heard of that town.
Bless you.
Yes, and it's the lost location of a medieval bishop's palace. And he said that he was ordered, whenever the builder saw the remains, he was ordered to stop work. And the cost of the investigation is going to cost him around £15,000, and it's delayed his bungalow. So supposedly this palace dates back to the 13th century and had fallen to ruins by the 18th century. And at some point it had disappeared, and historians were unable to determine its location. And it turns out that they were looking for it, but they were looking in the wrong backyards for it. And now this gentleman has decided to do this and stumbled upon it. See why it reminded me of you?
Yeah,
because that is your luck.
No one had ever heard of it. I mean, I'd been like, I don't know, man. I had this contractor working. It's weird. It's a good thing he didn't. I mean, he just decided not to come back. But I decided not to do crap with that garden.
Wow. So they've got archaeologists out there now, and they're trying to figure out how
But that's
to.
an awkward day, isn't it?
Yes, preserve
Every day.
the sites.
Every day. How's it doing, sir?
Oh.
Shut up.
All right, so let's go on to this next story. And this is a story about an undertaker. And he does
Rest in peace.
His name is Morty Stein. And he is on TikTok, and he goes by the name Funeral Home Confessions. And what he does is he recalls a number of unexplained incidents, experiences that happened to him while working in a so-called haunted funeral home. Aren't most funeral homes haunted?
Yeah, I mean, if they've been around any time. Yes, they're all haunted.
So one story that they mention in this article, he was talking about how a few years ago he used to work at this funeral home, and it had a reputation for being haunted. And there was this loft that overlooked the chapel, and the only way you could get up to the loft was to open this really creepy door and go up some really rickety stairs. So if anybody opened the door and went up the stairs, you would know that somebody was on their way up there because it was so loud. And so they were up there watching their boss conduct a service. And while they were in the loft watching the service, we heard this voice yell out, "Get out of here." And him and his coworker looked at each other, and both of their faces turned completely white, and they just like beelined down the stairs because they heard the voice in the loft. And he said, "I think I missed the last 5 steps completely," and he just bolted out of the door. So this whole TikTok channel is just him sort of telling really cool paranormal stories about things that happened to him as an undertaker. So
yeah, that's pretty awesome, actually. I mean, we've talked about making books like that,
right?
You know, with the cops and this and that, and having a whole series. That's pretty cool. I like the Undertaker one.
Yeah, so
Creepy.
If you're on TikTok, look up Funeral Home Confessions. Get you some good creepy stories.
Yeah, watch it though, cause just
make sure you get the right one.
Yeah.
Morty Stein is his name. Okay.
yeah, just just watch what you're doing. You know, the Morty Stein sounds like it's, you know, it's a play on another word or something like that, especially the way you're saying it.
Right.
I don't know why it triggered a thought of this. I was thinking of a movie. I was thinking of a movie I want to make.
Okay.
I want to do a movie about it, like a bunch of gangsters, and it opens up and it shows them all getting assassinated or whatever.
Right.
And, you know, maybe like St. Valentine's Day Massacre or something. And the next thing you know, they're all ghosts.
Oh, okay.
but they all died together, right?
Right.
And they're like, well, what are we going to do, boys? Here we are. And they decide, hey, why don't we just steal from other ghosts? I mean,
Ghost Mafia?
well, no, poltergeist.
Oh, okay. I like it.
Yeah.
How long have you been waiting to use that name?
It's just one of these things I've been working on. It was just an idea I had, and I was just like, wouldn't it be cool, if there was actually as in death, as they were in life. And then I was like, oh yeah, well they're ghosts, they're poltergeist. So that'll be somebody's group name in a week.
Yes, it will.
Poltergeist Paranormal.
All right, so let's move on to this next story. And this is a story about something that Zach Baggins has bought for his haunted museum. But it came with a really interesting story. The funny thing
African mask?
Yeah, no. Although we probably should send him a message about those. The reason I got this story is because at first I just saw an article about this haunted guitar that was for sale. And someone was selling it for $666, and they called it the Satanic Six-String Haunted Guitar. And they believe that it supposedly killed a teenager. And then I'd probably hours later, probably the same day, I saw the article where Zach had bought it already. Somebody had tipped him off, and he immediately just called and got that for his museum. So let me just tell you the story behind this guitar. Now, the brand is unknown because the logo had been removed.
I mean, if it was smart enough to kill a kid, it was smart enough to take its logo off.
This is true. But the original owner of the guitar was said to be a 13-year-old boy who was rumored to be a Satan worshiper. And the listing mentioned black magic, devil worship, and more before noting how the guitar was possibly involved in the boy's untimely death. It said his death has never been solved.
The guitar had a shit alibi.
But the calamitous kid was found lying on his bed with that guitar draped across him, apparently electrocuted, even though it's an acoustic guitar.
Wow.
So it's very, very strange. The owner decided to sell the guitar because of the haunted activity it seemed to bring. He said that he heard the strings ring out despite no one being near it. And on 3 occasions, he put the guitar in his bedroom closet only to find the guitar on his bed when he returned home. And he lives alone. And he said the final straw occurred when I saw the guitar levitate out of the trash can that he had put it in. Like he tried to throw it away, and it kind of levitated out of the trash can, is what he claims. So he decided, well, I'll just sell it and pass it on to somebody else. But it's the first haunted musical instrument that Zach has in his collection now, but it fits right in with all the other weird stuff he has in his museum, and I guess it's going to be there later this year. So
yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It really is. Mm-hmm. It's sad.
It is sad.
It's very sad. I don't think I'd want anywhere near the guitar just from the sadness.
Just from the terrible story.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, speaking of terrible stories, I just want to mention this. The Amityville horror killer, Ronald DeFeo, he died recently in prison at the age of 69. I didn't even know he was still alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was serving a 25-year to life sentence at Sullivan Correctional Facility in Fallsburg, New York. And he was transferred to Albany Medical Center and pronounced dead at 6:35 p.m. And I guess they're going to do an autopsy to determine the official cause of death. And of course, everybody knows the infamous Amityville horror story.
Oh, yeah, man.
He's the original one that, killed his whole family.
Yeah,
so.
And there's actually a new special or newer special on Discovery Plus with Jason Hawes documentary on it. So
I saw that. That looks really interesting. Yeah. So he was convicted in 1975, even though he claimed that he only killed his father and his mother and his eldest sister, that she killed all the other siblings and he killed her.
I mean, tomato.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking too.
He killed one, you know.
And then, of course, it mentions the Lutzes that moved in and didn't make it very long in the house because of all the weird things that happened. So.
Yeah. Smart hobbitses.
All right. So
Stupid thought hobbitses.
I I just have a few more stories here, just some end of the show things. I want to mention that, do you remember the bill that was proposed in Oklahoma for Bigfoot, the whole Bigfoot bill?
Yes,
thing?
the Bigfoot bill.
Yes, like I got some blowback and things like that. So apparently the state representative, he did admit that it was all a tourism thing, which we knew. He was just trying to increase the tourism to the area. So instead of having the bill go with the Bigfoot season and things like that, he is now setting up rules for Bigfoot enthusiasts who want to participate in what he's calling Oklahoma's Sasquatch Quest. The number one rule is you have to capture Bigfoot unharmed and can't injure anyone else or break any laws in the process. Now, he originally planned to set aside a $25,000 bounty for Bigfoot's capture. But an upcoming Hollywood Bigfoot movie pledged $2 million. And another private business promised an additional $100,000. So now if you go to Oklahoma and you catch Bigfoot unharmed, alive, and bring him in, you're going to get like $2.1 million. Wow. For capturing him.
That's insanity. Let's go try.
It's a whole promotional campaign. And, it's going to include license plates and decals and, an annual commemorative tracking license.
I wish my Uncle Jim was still alive. We could just rip his shirt off and take a picture.
And he said they're also working on a map of the region to show visitors the best route to take to spot Bigfoot while also promoting nearby businesses. It's a fantastic tourism idea.
Wow.
I do believe.
That's crazy. I mean, that's a lot better than like shooting him. So
Right. I mean, way to take a bad idea and turn it into a positive,
That's exactly what we asked him to do too.
Yes, to not hurt him. So speaking of Hollywood and movies, there is a new movie coming out. I believe it's out now. It's called The Unholy. It has our man Jeffrey Dean Morgan in it.
Unholy.
Yes, Jeffrey Dean. You're not going to do it? I said Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
I'm not going to do it.
Oh, okay.
What did you think I was going to do?
The Dybbuk box.
Yeah, I just wanted you to do it.
No, I'm not going to do it. That's your thing. But it looks like a really, really creepy movie. And, of course, I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yes.
So new on the horror list there.
Yeah, that's not too new on the horror list for Jeffrey Dean. It goes back years.
So there's a news story that came out of Wisconsin. And it's about
cheesy.
No, it's not cheesy at all. It's actually a public service announcement.
Okay.
A crystal ball has caused a house fire.
Oh.
In Wisconsin. Now, this can happen. And the fire department said that the crystal ball was sitting too close to the window and the sun came through, set the couch on fire, and caused $250,000 worth of damage. This is a problem. You have to be careful. If you have a crystal ball, do not put it near the window or cover it.
You would think if you had a crystal ball.
It's not how that works.
I know.
Oh, shame on you.
I know. It is the joke, though, right?
It is the joke, yes. All right. So, one last story, and this is a crazy story. It is an entire article wondering if humans could ever be venomous.
Oh, well, I could introduce them to a few women.
So they claim that, it's highly unlikely that people will join rattlesnakes and things and be a venomous animal. But new research reveals that humans have the toolkit to produce venom. In fact, all reptiles and mammals have this. And it's a collection of flexible genes, particularly associated with the salivary glands in humans. And some animals just happen to evolve that venom, and humans didn't, but they have all of the tools to do it.
Oh, now I want it. That's awesome.
Now it's really funny.
How do we know we didn't have it?
This is true. I mean,
we still have pieces we don't use.
That's very true.
Some more than others, but I mean, I don't know. That's insane. Anyway.
It is. And it's really funny because most of the animals that have, the venom across the animal kingdom, most of the people that have it, it's all very similar. And it's in like spiders, snakes. There is a mammal. It's called a slow loris. And it's the only known venomous species of primate. Now, look at this cute little thing. You see that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. That thing will kill you. It can kill a human being because it is venomous. It's flesh rotting venom.
I went to
It's
high
ridiculous.
school with a slow Lawrence. I don't know if he was venomous or not, but if he was, I think one of us would be dead by now. He lost a lot of, like kickball stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, clearly, I don't think humans are going to become venomous, but it makes you think, why would we have all of the parts to do it if it wasn't done before?
So, did
or
they
isn't
check
going to
women
do it?
and men?
Yes, I believe it's all mammals.
I
It
was
says
just-
all reptiles and all mammals.
Did it say that the females were closer than the men?
It does not
Oh.
say that. No.
Just wondering.
You know, when I read this article, I looked up the slow lorises because I didn't know what they were. That's why I have the picture here, because they're so innocent looking, even though they will kill you. And I read that the way they make their venom is they raise their arms above their head and they quickly lick venomous oil secreting glands that are in their upper arms. And then it pulls in their teeth, and then they bite you, and their teeth are sharp enough to slice into bone. And then your flesh rots away.
Well, that's pretty insane.
Yes, it is, that they have to lick their armpits. So there you are. I think we may be caught up on the news now. Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, take the adoration there. Or the Adderall. Some good stuff. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And wow, I think we had a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything this time, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And some really cool stories too. Some big stories that potentially will be huge stories before we're all said and done. So,
Right.
and coming up, maybe on the next episode, we might have the full line of the new equipment.
Possibly.
You never know.
Possibly.
You
Yes.
never know. But the one thing is, like some Correctall, we're going to be really regular for you and bring you as much as we can, and be on the lookout for some new Patreonic action, because we're going to be doing some Patreon stuff in the next couple of days. But for my lovely wife, Stacey, my name's John. So long from the Sideshow.
Good night.